limits to David Harris Jr. And there's no apologies, because he's armed with common sense, real faith, and the truth. Don't miss him on The Pulse tonight.
Is your shower trying to tell you something? Is getting in and out of the bathtub becoming a safety concern? Are you worried about the cost of a bathroom remodel that could go on for weeks and weeks? Well, now you can have a gorgeous new bath or shower with a one-day jacuzzi bath remodel that's safer at a price you can afford. We're waiving all installation costs and postponing all payments for up to 1 year.
Oh my gosh, it is beautiful. Oh.
From soft closed shower doors and adjustable shower heads to features like grab bars and custom seats that combine safety and style, it's never been easier. Get your free design consultation, schedule your one-day installation, and start loving your new bath or shower right away.
Call or go online right now. We are waiving all installation costs and offering no interest and no payments for up to 1 year. Go to jacuzzibathremodel.com or call 800-991-2603. Call now.
Hi folks, we're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
I'm Rhonda Swan, and welcome to the Wall Street Minute. Today we're walking down Wall Street with Kathy Goldstein, a pioneer in functional aesthetics and the creator of Natural Facelift System. Kathy, you talk about anti-aging is out.
Right.
But optimized energy living is in. What is the future of skincare?
Well, stress is a huge factor that actually does show up on our face. All of the stress is not just from our day, but from our entire life. So really, this is about looking at the skin as an entire system.
She believes stress is the root cause of aging.
True energy is a system that really works from a functional aspect. So meaning that if we have functional skincare, like functional nutrition, it actually is giving our system a way to resolve some of the issues that are the underlying issues that cause the aging lines.
Thank you for watching Wall Street Minute.
Are you going to try to figure out how to use the Lulu and Skibbity in your language?
I'm not.
Give it a try.
I'm not. I'm
I'd
gonna
love for you
skedaddle.
and Dr. Tom to
Go behind closed doors to witness biblical counseling with real people. Transformed, Monday and Thursday on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Well, good morning. Happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever day you want it to be. Happy.
We're just I had to check this morning. It's like, hey, Scott. It's
happy Wednesday, man.
Wednesday, right?
All day.
Yeah.
I got fooled on this last week, too. I got to be careful I don't do it again this week. Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Wednesday. A lot going on in the news, and always is. And enjoy today, because from here on out, it kind of bumps up a little bit. Yeah. So
back to triple
temperature-wise,
digits, huh?
Yeah, triple digits for about 3 days.
Yeah.
And so, that's... Hey, we've had a great summer.
We have had a stellar summer, and not only temperature-wise, but smoke-wise, or lack thereof.
Yes, it's been wonderful. We've been blessed with a good season.
Thank you,
and
Lord.
it's far from being over. But the point being is,
Hey, wait a minute.
A little triple digit.
Are we speaking too soon?
Huh?
Are we speaking too soon? I have a tendency to do that. Pamela looked at me, she goes, "You said that out loud." And I'm like, oh, is it too late? Can I put it back? But we'll see.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But look, so far the Lord has blessed us, and I will say this about firefighting: there's an attitude change about it. Because they jump on them.
Seems to be,
there's no more, well, let's see what we're going to do and have a meeting.
No, they're flying right away.
We're flying, and we'll talk later.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway.
But the good sign is they're not flying anything out of here right now.
No, there's nothing on the tarmac out there. But thank the Lord for that. Beautiful weather, very pleasant today, but it's going to get hot from tomorrow on out, so get ready for that. Good morning, what's up?
Well, It's big for us.
Yeah.
It's National Radio Day.
That's right.
Recognizing the great invention of the radio, celebrate news, information, music, and stories carried across the airwaves for a long, long time. Radio ownership grew, especially in the 30s. 2 out of 5 homes owned a radio, but by 1938, 4 out of 5 owned a radio. It was the deal back then, and of course, TV came out and radio was supposed to die.
Yeah.
Supposed to die many deaths, wasn't it?
Well, they have written the eulogy on radio so many times.
Yeah.
But it's still very much alive and well. And guess what? Of course, we track this stuff. And radio is still outperforming satellite.
Isn't that interesting?
Significantly.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, what's the future of AM?
I think AM will stay.
Yeah.
Even though car manufacturers don't like that idea.
Right.
But they're going to have to deal with it, and primarily for a couple of reasons. One is it completes the emergency broadcast systems throughout the United States. Some areas literally cannot get EAS information without AM radio. Secondly, it's still a viable vehicle for broadcasting, and the formats have changed. You know who saved AM radio?
Who?
Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that said.
AM radio was really fading. Rush Limbaugh came along because most of AM radio formats was talk. And he comes along and rescues it. And they did something else, the FCC did. They allow AM radio to have FM translators.
Oh.
Okay, and that also helped it. So the bottom line is, I think AM will be here for quite a while longer. Don't write the eulogy on it yet.
Okay, speaking of eulogies, what's the future of NPR?
NPR, that's a great question. I understand that they are folding shop.
That's what I saw.
And they will be looking for independent areas to take to become independent.
Oh, okay.
We'll see how it goes. But as far as NPR is concerned, looks like it's and I think Senator Kennedy said it best when this was coming down. And NPR was.
I love Senator.
Well, he was, he's a pretty colorful guy.
Yes, he is.
But he said basically, and there's the NPR people sitting there, kind of crying about they're not going to get their money.
Yeah.
And he said, should Congress give money to CNN?
Great question. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Right.
Should we give money to ABC?
No.
No.
Right.
Should we give money to Fox?
Sure.
No. Okay. Why are we giving money to you?
Yeah.
Go out and be competitive like everybody else.
Right.
And I think in the long run, I'm just looking down with my little microscope. Not microscope. What is it?
Telescope.
Telescope.
Yeah. There you go.
That it will change the classifications of radio down the road, only because public type broadcasting will have to be able to run ads down the road to survive.
Sure.
And that will change the classifications.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see how they do, because every time liberal radio has come out, it's failed.
Yeah, it's
liberal
true.
talk,
yeah.
And I don't say that against NPR. Look, NPR had some great stuff.
Yeah.
I think it had great stuff, but it had the best of everything on tax dollars, and I'm going, gosh, that's
right.
cool.
Yeah, except I couldn't listen to their liberal band.
No,
I checked out a long time ago.
Their news was very biased.
Yeah. Okay, something else we know a little bit. In fact, we're talking a little bit about this before we went on the air. It is National Accessible Air Travel Day, focusing on the need for accessible air travel for people with disabilities. We're talking about that. Scott's got a trip coming up, and he's talking about his dad getting along. So now, at the point that we are at here at Medford International Airport, we have an expansion coming up. And we are talking about, with that expansion will come the Skyways onto the planes. But we don't have that yet.
We have two.
Okay, but I've never been on one of them.
Oh, you've been on the ground. Well, because you don't pay enough. You pay a little more, you can walk indoors.
Get our frequent mileage plan kicked up, babe. Come on.
No.
So, but I noticed that the ramps that we go up are not stairs. At least they're ramps, so you can.
Right.
They're accessible, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But boy, we have a big expansion to go. Well, are we talking much about that, or are we not supposed to?
The senator was in town the other day talking about helping the airport get some federal dollars on this. It's a big project. It's $200 million plus.
Whoa.
And I sit on the committee, so it's kind of interesting to watch this. And look, our little airport here, and here we are. We're physically at the airport, the Dove.
Right. Yeah.
It's the crown jewel of Jackson County.
Yeah.
And we're going to do well over 1 million passengers this year, and the business is there. You know, so, but we're running out of room. And if you go to our airport at 4 in the morning, till about 10 in the morning, it is crowded.
Been there, done that. I was shocked at how crowded it is.
Yeah, because these flights take off all morning long.
Word.
So anyway, the point being is, we're trying to do an expansion. We're in the middle of developing the plans and trying to jump through all the legal hoops and all that stuff.
I got a question for you. You brought up the fact that we're on airport property. Are we the only broadcast team, both TV and radio, that has to go through TSA clearance and testing?
Yep.
To be here.
Pretty much.
Wait a minute. What does this have to do with broadcasting? Well,
nothing.
But we are where we are.
We are where we are, and we have to jump through all those hoops. But you know what's really interesting, though, is that they have these spot checkers that come in.
Yeah.
And if we're not properly badged,
if we are not,
and if we're not properly,
compliant,
and we don't have all the things going on, and thank God, and these guys are really trained to catch you.
I bet they are. Yeah.
So we had one come in about a month ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know what he did? It was interesting because I saw him outside and I paid attention because we have a lot of business going on around.
Right.
A guy walking around out there, and I go, okay, whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
He was looking through the window.
No way. What?
Okay, so
he's looking through the window.
Well, kind of, you know.
Okay, yeah.
And so then he came in, and he walked right through our lobby and through that open door right there because we had it open temporarily.
Oh, no. Is that?
He saw that.
Oh.
And fortunately, Renee went out there and grabbed him and said, sorry, you can't go there.
Oh, good.
He said, okay, you pass.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was a plant.
Oh. Thank you, Renee.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, so it's...
got some muscle out there, don't we?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Renee will roll you on the floor. She'll put you in a bag and drop you in the river.
But she'll smile while she's doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's very sweet about it.
Yeah, she may be praising the Lord while she's doing it.
Okay, let's move on to some food.
All right.
And you can't have too many of these days because it's National Bacon Lovers Day.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah, why not? The history of bacon is rich and long. It dates as far back as 1500 BC. Records show the ancient Chinese enjoyed cured pork belly, and other records indicate that the Romans also used it. They used it a little nefariously. They used it in some rituals that they had before they were saved.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But it wasn't until the 16th century that the term bacon first popped up as a cut of pork. Over time, bacon became synonymous with cured pork belly and is what we are familiar with today. And what could be wrong with bacon?
Nothing. Absolutely not. I don't care what your cardiologist says.
Yeah, I don't care what you...
He's lying to you.
He is, yeah, that's right. And if you really like it, put it on top of your chocolate pecan pie.
Oh.
It is National Chocolate Pecan Pie, as opposed to regular, the original pecan pie. But, you know, both of them go well with ice cream.
There you go.
And obviously they are a very sweet pie. They kind of qualify as a sugar pie, but it gives them a gooey, almost caramel center. And again, wonderful with ice cream. Okay, but we have a word of the day for us today.
Okay.
And this is really important. And if you have this condition, you can't sit in one of these seats.
Oh, really?
No, you can't do it.
Okay.
Because the word is allodoxophobia. Allodoxophobia. It is the fear of other people's opinions.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes, there's a real condition. It is the fear of other people's opinions. And like I said, if you're going to sit in these seats, get used to it.
You know what?
What?
We need to put that on hats.
Yes.
I need to put that on a hat.
Yes.
And wear it.
That's right.
I think I'll wear it to my next Republican meeting.
People who have this have the fear of being judged, criticized, or ridiculed for your opinions, leading to social isolation, difficulty in expressing themselves, and obstacles for a morning show if you have it.
Okay. So it's a phobia.
It's a phobia. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there's a guy that'll never suffer from it.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With conditions continuing mostly clear and dry, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, becoming sunny with daytime highs in the low 80s for Vancouver and Portland and mid 80s for Wilsonville and McMinnville. Moving down the Willamette Valley with sunny skies and daytime high temperatures near 85 for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, with a calm wind this morning becoming north 5 to 8 miles per hour in the afternoon. Sunny skies today across central Oregon with daytime high temperatures in the mid 80s for Prineville and low 80s around Bend and Sun River, continuing with sunny and hot in Boise, Idaho with a high in the mid 90s. Along the Oregon coast, becoming sunny in Coos Bay with a high near 75, sunny and near 70 in Port Orford, mostly sunny skies for Brookings with a high in the low 60s, and Crescent City, California near 66. In southern Oregon, sunny for the Rogue Valley with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and mid 80s for Ashland, sunny, calm, and mid 80s for the Klamath Basin. Into northern California, sunny in Wairika with a high near 90, sunny and hot from Redding with a high near 100, through Chico and Sacramento, both with high temperatures in the upper 90s and a light northwest wind. In the Bay Area, sunny with a high temperature in the low 90s in Santa Rosa, becoming sunny in Napa with a high in the upper 80s, sunny in San Francisco with a high in the mid 70s, and today in San Jose, sunny and upper 80s. A look at your Wednesday weather from Grange Co-op.
Had a beautiful shot there this morning looking to the north-northeast, and that's from the top of Roxanne looking out towards Mount McLaughlin.
And more planetary celestial display.
Wasn't it sun this morning?
It was wonderful. As
Crescent moon.
Crescent moon, Jupiter and Venus doing their shifting as they've been doing the last few months. Just stunning. I mean, it's just wonderful. So if you're out on the road, keep your eyes on the road.
Okay.
Okay, I think a common prayer that a lot of Christians have had through the ages is, Lord, help me represent you well. And with that in mind, does your behavior make those around you want to know Jesus? Well, Pastor Greg Laurie has some encouragement for us this morning.
But we were on one of our tours. I've been there many times. And I had a guide that I continued to use. His name was David, and I liked him. He was a friend, but he was always debating me. So we would be in the front of the bus, and he would be arguing with me about my faith and so forth. And so we probably were debating for 2 hours, and we finally arrived at our destination. And as we got off the bus driver came to me, and he said, I was listening very carefully to what you were saying to David. I made no progress with David, but apparently this guy was listening. Says, I really liked what you were saying. And then he said this, and this is an exact quote, I am jealous of your relationship with God. I'm a Jewish man, and I want you to come speak to my family for a Sabbath dinner. And I agreed. We went to his home, incredible food. We're on the second course, really full, and we found out those are the appetizers. There's a lot more food to come. We had a great meal. I went into a food coma, I think, but he gathered his whole family there, a very large family. Some of his children serving in the IDF, the Israeli military, and I told him about Jesus, you see. And this was, I earned the right to do that. He saw something in me that caused him to be jealous. And I think that we should walk with God in such a way that non-believers will say, I want what they have. The greatest compliment a Christian can be paid is when a non-believer says, what makes you different? I notice you're kinder. I notice you're more patient. I notice that you're a loving person. Why are you this way? You're going through this hardship, yet you're doing it with a smile on your face. How can you do that? And what a joy it is to then say, well, let me tell you all about Jesus.
Isn't that beautiful? Mm-hmm. Do people see that in you? rhetorical.
Well, it's one of the reasons we pray what we pray. Lord, help me better represent you.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Good morning to you. Let's take a look at some of the top stories, and quite a few interesting things happening. As you know, after the big summit with Putin came the big summit with 8 European leaders, primarily President Zelensky at the White House over the last day or so. And the president said he's ruling out U.S. troops. But on the other hand, the top officials of the other countries say we want to do what we have to do to help protect Ukraine, whatever the deal is. Let's get to the peace table. But does ruling out troops mean no ground forces? Does it mean air support?
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems to be the case, yeah.
All right. So Press Secretary Leavitt talks about this.
The president has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine, but we can certainly help in the coordination and perhaps provide other means of security guarantees to our European allies. The president understands security guarantees are crucially important to ensure a lasting peace, and he has directed his national security team to coordinate with our friends in Europe and also to continue to cooperate and discuss these matters with Ukraine and Russia as well.
Okay, so I think that's a big deal because he's basically saying, with the president saying, look, we're here to help, but this is really your problem.
Yeah.
You know, we bailed you out a couple of wars. Can you guys kind of stand up for yourself now?
Yeah, no kidding. Right.
You know, so we'll go from there. In the meantime, President Trump is hoping that President Putin and President Zelensky get together.
Yeah.
He said, I don't necessarily need to be there.
Right, but I'll come if they ask.
Yeah. And I think, you know, this is great negotiation.
I think
you
so,
guys need to talk this out. The problem's between you two guys. You know, I'll be glad to be a facilitator. And Caroline Leavitt, she spoke about that a little bit too.
The president has spoken to both leaders about this, and both leaders have expressed a willingness to sit down with each other. And so our national security team will help both countries do that. Ultimately, the president has always said that there are areas of disagreement in this war that will have to be discussed and decided upon by these two countries. And so he wants these two countries to engage in direct diplomacy. He's said that from the very beginning, which is why he's agreeable to the idea of having President Zelensky and President Putin get together, and I understand accommodations for that meeting are underway. As soon as we hear more details, we'll be sure to let all of you know.
Okay, so it looks like a dual meeting before a trilateral meeting.
Yeah.
And there may not be a trilateral meeting. Who knows?
I wonder, yeah.
I think at the end there will be.
I think so too, and I think part of it is that I heard it said, I was listening to a report on this, and they said the dynamics between these two leaders, between Putin and Zelensky, is a little bit off right now, that Putin has kind of an air of superiority and that it's a little bit beneath him to negotiate with the president of Ukraine. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a cultural and obviously a historical shift. Maybe he feels like Trump needs to be there in the middle. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Look, I don't know all the inside of it in this way, but I will say this, that President Putin has to look at what happened at the White House when they had 7 other European leaders saying, first of all, they didn't want Zelensky putting his foot in his mouth.
Right.
And second, they wanted to show a united front that we don't want Russia any closer than they are. Mm-hmm. So something has to be worked out here. We'll see where this goes. More to come. Well, back to some other things. Tulsi Gabbard is turning out to be quite the person. Yeah. She found 37 moles inside her agency, and they were all Obama people.
Right.
And she pink-slipped every one of them.
All of them. She took away security clearances.
Yeah, she took away their security clearance, held the door open, waited till they packed up their boxes, and walked them to the door.
Sayonara, yeah.
And in the meantime, what's happening here is more and more evidence is coming out of what this Russiagate hoax thing was all about.
Right.
And she's releasing documents as she can. But she does in this interview on Fox there with Ingram, she says, she explains it really well. Here's the problem. Here's what she had to say.
The integrity of our democratic republic depends on the American people knowing the truth about what actually happened and seeking that accountability, bringing about that accountability. I don't know how else to characterize what happens when there is a sitting president of the United States, there is a director of the CIA, a director of national intelligence under President Obama, the head of the NSA, James Comey is the head of the FBI, all coming together, and this is documented in what we released, all coming together to create this lie with the intent of delegitimizing the duly elected president of the United States because the person they wanted to win actually lost. And the American people made their own choice in spite of everything that happened in that 2016 election, and they chose Donald Trump. This was not a one-off thing. This wasn't just, oh, well, they fudged the lines a little bit. They created a lie and propagated that lie in order to try to undermine the person that the American people chose to be our president and commander-in-chief.
Yep.
So that summarizes everything.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's the problem. How many of these people were given immunity?
Oh, yeah.
So she's got to look at that.
Yeah.
Secondly, can she, even though they've been given immunity, was it legitimate because of the auto pin? That's a whole nother can of worms. And if they're given immunity, in the meantime, will their reputation be ruined by the fact that they've been caught?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what can be done about it?
Yeah.
And I guess the biggest snake in the grass in all this to me is still Adam Schiff, Senator Schiff. I think the guy, I don't know, he's just slimy. And I can't help but think that he's been given immunity. And the question is, why was he given immunity?
Right.
And I mean, why aren't we questioning the fact that he was given immunity? Isn't it an admission of guilt?
Yes, I think many people agree with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his immunity doesn't really cover some of the issues that he's being scrutinized for right now, does it?
No, he's got some other headaches.
Yeah.
Look, I got to be careful here because vengeance belongs to the Lord, the Scripture says.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you want justice.
Yes.
Where's the difference between vengeance and justice?
Yeah.
You know, and so that's a fine line.
Yeah. It can be.
Maybe we need a sermon on that one.
Get ready to preach that.
Oh, no, I am not qualified for that. But I'm just curious because when people are given immunity like they were in the last couple of hours of the Biden administration, is a clear indication they were guilty of something.
Right, and
even his son,
and especially his son, and especially when you look at the specific time frames, because they knew when all these crimes took place. Well, between this day and this day, everything is washed away.
It's just amazing. It's stunning. All right, good morning to you. That's what's happening out there. In spite of the fact that today is...
bacon.
Bacon, and it's pecan pie.
Yeah, that's
chocolate
right.
Pecan pie.
Yeah.
Hey, I found a new sandwich I like.
What?
How about a bacon, turkey, tomato sandwich?
Book it. Yeah, book it. Let's order it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know where you get it?
No.
At Arby's down the road here.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I tried it the other day and I go,
Yeah. Yeah.
I go, well, maybe I found something here.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back.
All right.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Clean water is essential to your good health.
UltraPure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, UltraPure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Paul Allen is a Minnesota sports icon.
Vikings have a 9-0 lead.
And he sits down with CBN Sports' Tom Buring.
That's the first time that I've ever talked about this.
It's a Minneapolis miracle!
If Jesus Christ were to join you as your guest in a booth, how would you introduce him?
Wow, is that a weird question, but it's a beautiful question.
Thursday on the 700 Club, right here on the Dove TV.
Hi, good morning to you. 27 past the hour. Only kind of one local story here. I just want to let you know that the Oregon governor, Tina Kotek, and the Washington governor got together, and they basically said to the federal government, have a nice day. We're not bending to your abandoning the sanctuary laws.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they told them, here's your law. You can have it back. So I don't know what this is going to do.
Yeah.
Apparently, did you know, of course you know this, Oregon is the oldest sanctuary state in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay, we've had this for over 40 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so the rules governing the sanctuary condition of the state of Oregon are a little bit different, but I don't think it does away with the fact that we are a sanctuary state.
Right.
And therefore, the president and the Trump administration can withhold federal dollars. Okay, so both Oregon and Washington, very blue, very liberal. Okay, both governors basically told Pam Bondi to take a hike.
Okay.
So we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, yeah.
It could result in no more money coming our way. You know, this interesting thing about agencies losing money, or I shouldn't say agencies, because agencies are part of the government, but organizations that lose federal grants.
Yeah.
I understand it's really a nightmare. It's all of a sudden a big part of your funding is gone. But did you ever have a proper business model to make it without that federal funding?
That's a good question, especially for, we look at the NGOs.
Yeah.
And I heard it said that if a non-governmental organization, an NGO, can't survive without government funds, they're not an NGO.
Yeah, see? So is your business model sustainable without grants?
Right.
Right. And I ran into this years ago when I was with another company and we were managing ministry dollars.
Okay.
I said, why in the world are you putting on me that we're going to grow 10 to 15%? Based on what?
On what? Yeah. Yeah.
We had this argument.
Okay.
I won that one, but I lost in the long run.
Really?
I left the company.
Okay.
Okay. That's when we bought the Dove back.
Oh, yes.
That's a lot. That's 14 chapters in our book.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's going on out there. This is very nice weather, and we're going to have mild temperatures today, but offshore, that spells H-O-T. Starting tomorrow. Whew. It will be triple digits through the weekend, so get ready for that.
Capital H, by the way.
Capital H.
Yes. Well, we saw the picture of President Trump in the Oval Office at his desk with European leaders kind of in a little semicircle in front of him. And we were looking at that picture. We were trying to put a title on it, like who's the boss and such. Well, retired General Jack Keane joined Fox and Friends, and he commented on how historic President Trump's White House meeting of European leaders really was.
You can't overstate the significance of what we all witnessed, and to describe it as you have and others as historic, it certainly is factual. But we have to note a couple of things here as well. The president has a real meaningful relationship with those leaders, and you could see how comfortable they were in the room with him, even with the cameras on. And that is a result of a working relationship that he has established with some of them in the first administration, but with all of them in the 6 months to 7 months of this administration is quite remarkable. And to underscore that, after the summit meeting that he had with Putin, at 1 a.m. in the morning, he began calling him Saturday morning on his way home in Air Force One. He finished those calls, Lawrence, at 2:30 in the morning, sitting on a tarmac. And he asked them to come to Washington on Monday. Now, Saturday morning when he's talking to them, where they are, obviously, and they had to get on their airplanes the next day and come to Washington for that meeting. And what we saw there is the undisputed global leader sitting down with the prominent leaders in Europe and President Zelensky discuss a pathway forward for peace.
And what they did is they isolated Putin because if Putin doesn't agree, he's a lone duck. Yeah. And he has the Europeans and he's got the United States saying, well, then you can't do business with us.
Yeah.
Okay, now he can say, well, you can't buy my oil. Okay, well, that's fine. Sooner or later, you're going to have to sell them their oil because that's the only revenue source you got coming in.
True.
So it's historic. But you know what the caption, did you see? There was all kinds of captions.
Okay.
But the best one I thought so far.
What?
So here's the president in the Oval Office behind his desk.
Right.
The power desk.
Yeah.
Everything's power. He had the power red tie on.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then he's got all these 8 European leaders out there. School's in.
School's in. Very good.
And there's the teacher.
There's the teacher. Boom.
Okay. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, so we're going to go from bacon, which is good on everything, to the chocolate pecan pie.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, it's your old car here. Remember me? Remember us? You barely even turn me on anymore. It's clear you don't need me, but that's perfectly fine, my friend. Because you can choose to give this old car new purpose and donate. There are incredible nonprofits out there that accept cars just like me. So call or donate online. Donating a vehicle is easy, the pickup is free, and your gift is tax deductible.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm Guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
It's your time to fly. It's your journey. Let's make it friendly. We are your airport. Fly MFR.
Hey, good morning to you. 35 minutes past the hour on a beautiful Wednesday morning. We're already, man, so much is going on.
Yeah.
Are you ready for football?
Yeah, that's right. That's coming, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Aren't the new cars coming out in September?
Yeah, but, unfortunately.
But they're already out?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they got, they did 26 back in May.
Yeah, well, true. And, we're coming up to that time where we overlap sports. You mentioned football's coming up, and obviously we're
Hunting?
interested in that. Well, yeah, baseball's still going on. We have some serious pennant races going on right now. So, You know, you got to watch that stuff too.
How are the Yanks done?
Well, we're fighting for a playoff spot right now, and it's tough. I mean, it's really tough. But we're on a roll at the moment. But you know, that stuff changes that quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hang in there.
I've got a little bit of.
It's kind of like your leg. It'll come back.
You think so? Is there physical?
So I made a dinner party last night. Okay. And you know what people ask me now?
What?
How's Jerry's leg?
Oh, good. Thank you very much.
I go, hey, what am I, chopped liver? No, how's Jerry's leg?
No, you're healthy. I'm not.
All right, we'll check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN News Watch on this Wednesday, August 20th. I'm Gary Lane. We begin this half hour in the Middle East. Israel's plan to encircle and conquer Gaza City has been approved. As Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, this comes in the midst of a growing war of words over Australia's plan to recognize a Palestinian state.
Israel's defense minister approved plans for Operation Gideon's Chariots 2, the plan to conquer Gaza City. The operation will involve 5 divisions, and officials say the plan includes calling up as many as 60,000 reserves. The initial phase of the plan has already started, and within days, the IDF would be encouraging the city's residents to move south to safe zones. In the meantime, Israel is still considering the late ceasefire proposal for a phased hostage release, even though Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu recently has said he wants a comprehensive deal with all hostages released at once. On the international front, Israel is in a war of words with Australia's leader over his support for a Palestinian state. Earlier this week, Netanyahu sent a letter to Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. He said his stance pours, quote, fuel on this anti-Semitic fire and rewards Hamas terror, hardens Hamas's refusal to free the hostages, and emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. He concluded, it is not diplomacy, it is appeasement. Netanyahu also called Albanese a weak politician who betrayed Israel. Albanese brushed off the criticism.
What I say is that Israel, of course, increasingly there is global concern. And global concern because people want to see an end to the cycle of violence that we have seen for far too long. That is what Australians want to see as well.
Australia's Deputy Prime Minister said they are following the UK, France, and Canada.
So we are very much within the mainstream of the international community, which has always supported a two-state solution. And in that context, what we want to see is in this moment dialogue between nations, and that's why we regard this as a very disappointing and unjustified reaction.
In response to this growing movement, veteran journalist David Badin, who has followed the Palestinian Authority for 3 decades, published a list of questions these nations should consider. Will the planned Palestinian state abolish the Palestinian Charter, which mandates the destruction of Israel? Will the planned Palestinian state revoke the law that guarantees salaries to anyone who murders a Jew, the so-called pay-to-slay policy? And will the planned Palestinian state eliminate educational materials that glorify the murder of Jews? Palestinian Media Watch is also reporting that Fatah, the political arm of the Palestinian Authority, hosted a summer camp for 200 young boys and girls with the goal to create a generation that will, quote, continue the path of the martyrs and prisoners.
Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, what other questions did David Badin raise in his article about the Palestinian Authority?
Well, Gary, these are really questions, penetrating questions that really should be asked by these nations. One of them, another one is, will the planned Palestinian state remove texts that glorify those who murder Jews? And also in the maps of the planned Palestinian state, will the state of Israel appear alongside it? Many of these maps just have Palestine. They don't have any sign of Israel. Another one, Gary, is will the planned Palestinian state cancel the slogan of the, quote, right of return through armed struggle? And then one more, Gary, is will the planned Palestinian state abide by the Constitution of the State of Palestine based on Quranic Sharia law. Now, that's a very important one, that Sharia law would be the law of the land in any future Palestinian state. And Benin is saying these are the questions that should be asked of the foreign ministers of France, the United Kingdom, Norway, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, all those countries that are calling for a Palestinian state.
Yeah, the only thing I get out of this, delay, reload.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think that Israel's intelligence is tracking this. And how much longer,
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, the Middle East, the twists and turns of the Middle East is kind of like the twists and turns of Jerry's mind when he does the weather here.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With conditions continuing mostly clear and dry, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, becoming sunny with daytime highs in the low 80s for Vancouver and Portland and mid-80s for Wilsonville and McMinnville. Moving down the Willamette Valley with sunny skies and daytime high temperatures near 85 for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, with a calm wind this morning becoming north 5 to 8 miles per hour in the afternoon. Sunny skies today across central Oregon with daytime high temperatures in the mid-80s for Prineville and low 80s around Bend and Sun River, continuing with sunny and hot in Boise, Idaho with a high in the mid-90s. Along the Oregon coast, becoming sunny in Coos Bay with a high near 75, sunny and near 70 in Port Orford, mostly sunny skies for Brookings with a high in the low 60s, and Crescent City, California near 66. In southern Oregon, sunny for the Rogue Valley with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and mid-80s for Ashland, sunny, calm, and mid-80s for the Klamath Basin. Into northern California, sunny in Wairika with a high near 90, sunny and hot from Redding with a high near 100, through Chico and Sacramento, both with high temperatures in the upper 90s and a light northwest wind. In the Bay Area, sunny with a high temperature in the low 90s in Santa Rosa, becoming sunny in Napa with a high in the upper 80s, sunny in San Francisco with a high in the mid-70s, and today in San Jose, sunny and upper 80s. A look at your Wednesday weather from Grange Co-op.
Wow, what a beautiful shot. And I just stuck my nose out the door. It's really nice out there.
All right.
So it's going to be nice today, but get ready for it. Here comes that heat wave.
Oofta, yeah.
Be careful.
It is. Well, it was the cutting edge of technology and was patented on this day in history.
On August 20th, 1896, the world of communication took a giant step forward when the dial telephone was patented. Up until then, making a call meant talking directly to a human operator who physically connected your line to the person you wanted to reach. The new dial system changed everything. It let callers connect themselves by simply turning a numbered dial one click at a time. It was an early step toward automation, and though the first models were slow and clunky, the convenience was undeniable. By the 1920s and 30s, dial telephones became common in homes and businesses, helping people feel more in control of their conversations. The dial telephone stayed popular for much of the 20th century until touch-tone models eventually replaced it. But the familiar spinning wheel and the sound of the click, click, click as it spun back remain a nostalgic symbol of a time when the telephone was truly modern technology, as it still is in ways that couldn't have been imagined when the dial telephone was patented.
How about that? And you put a kid into the room these days with a dial telephone, see how long it takes to figure out how to use it.
Well, they pick up the receiver and try to take their picture with it.
Yes. Oh, man.
All right. Well, listen, the president has nominated Saturday, among other things, he's doing nominations, was nominating State Department spokesman Tammy Bruce as the next U.S. Deputy Representative to the United Nations. And here's a little bit about that.
So you have no doubt seen President Trump's Truth Social post announcing his intention to nominate me as his deputy ambassador at the United Nations. His intention was a surprise, as was his request last Christmas asking me to become the spokesperson at the State Department. I was astounded then and remain deeply honored and grateful for the president's trust in me. This is especially moving as it allows me to continue serving the State Department, to which I'm now quite attached. I think that's maybe obvious to some of you, and our great country on the global stage at the United Nations.
I will say, I don't know who's helping him select people.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty interesting team.
Yes, it is. And
well
quite
committed.
And quite different than the first term. That boy, he struggled with that.
Well, the
one.
first term he was being told by the establishment of what to do.
Yes.
And then he learned from that. He also he had 4 years to think about if he got reelected what he would do and who he would use.
Yeah.
The only person that I was surprised he didn't bring forward, only one, and that was Mike Pompeo.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what happened there. And who knows? We don't know what it is. In the meantime, I'm trying to get former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on the program.
That would be great.
I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite a man of faith, too. So, all right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
It feels like I'm born again.
From top home sellers in the Valley with John L. Scott.
To making RV consignment effortless.
American RV, where Team Toner gets your RV sold fast.
Black Flag Armory offers top brand affordable rifles, shotguns, handguns, and gear. We also offer an array of classes emphasizing safety, self-defense, and accuracy. We strive to provide the absolute best possible experience when buying a firearm. Family friendly for every skill level, Black Flag Armory in Midford and Grants Pass. Online at blackflagarms.com or 541-499-0779. 541-499-0779.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
Alex McFarland addresses the hard-hitting questions about faith, morality, and culture.
We are to present, explain, defend the gospel.
Watch Alex McFarland Tuesdays and weekends on the Dove TV.
Welcome back. 11 minutes before the top of the hour on a beautiful Wednesday morning, and really pleasant today, but get ready. A heat wave is upon us in the next couple of days, so get ready for that. So how would you describe, and we don't know, but how do you think, and how would you describe the spiritual climate in Washington, D.C.?
Wow. There's a hurricane coming up the East Coast, isn't there?
Yeah.
Is it resemble that? I mean, there's a little difference of power.
Well, the president said something the other day that kind of got him into a little bit of theological trouble.
Yes, indeed.
He said he wants to solve the war because that'll help him get to heaven.
Right, yes.
Well, I'm sorry, Don. It doesn't respond. It doesn't work that way.
No, somebody needs to talk to him about salvation. Yeah.
So I thought, well, hello, Paula White. Yeah. Yes. And I've interviewed her. She's a character. And I thought, well, okay, you may want to talk to the president.
Go talk to him.
It's not about making deals.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It has something to do with, the Gospel of John. I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one.
No, that's right.
No one, not even you, making good deals.
Oh, you know what? I never thought of that. Going to heaven by making the best deal. Oh, my goodness.
No.
We don't cut our own deal with the Lord anyway.
No. So anyway, tongue in cheek, but Senator Tim Scott, who is a solid believer, was asked about this on the Heaven and Earth podcast, and here's what he had to say.
As a nation, I think we probably fight more over China's malign influence in this nation, and according to most reports that I've read, that the fastest growing church on the planet might just be in China. So the truth of the matter is that wherever you see darkness, the assumption should be there is light. You may not see it, but it's there. I think the same is true on Capitol Hill and frankly in our capital, that there are Republicans and Democrats of faith working together for the cause of Christ. Very different sometimes the perspective on how to do that. And frankly, we fight over how to do that. Chris Coons is a Democrat from Delaware who is a solid Christian. We have done events together. We've given speeches together. We've done fireside chats together. He is a guy bathed in Scripture. I think he's wrong politically, but I know he will be my brother in heaven, and probably we'll have mansions next to each other. And I'll have to cut his yard sometimes, and he'll cut my yard most of the time. So I'm looking forward to spending eternity with the dude because he's a really good person. But the truth of the matter is that people don't hear about that because it's not that popular for Republicans or Democrats to celebrate bipartisan relationships, because today red and blue are not supposed to mix. It's like the 1960s in black and white. We live in a time where partisanship is celebrated, but bipartisanship is not.
Well, he makes a great point. And, boy, I could take off on this. When can we accept somebody who loves the Lord, but philosophically, ideologically, they're opposite to us?
Oh, it is a huge issue right now because we are so divided, and it even, obviously it's happening inside the church. We see it kind of rear its ugly head in social media, and you see your friends, your church friends, expressing views that are very counter to what you believe, and you think counter to how we believe as people of faith. And you think, well, wait a minute, how did you get off the path here? You know, and so, it's a real struggle at times right now.
You judge people by your own environment and by your own belief system. And you judge people by where you are with your relationship with God. And that's unfair because some people are still on the bottle.
On the bottom. Oh, yes, they haven't been weaned yet. They're still growing.
And I think we think that conversion, you're born again, full grown. And Paul talks about that in Corinthians. He said, no. He said, I can't deal with you with meat because you're not there yet. You're over here. You're still on the milk. And we still have to just kind of walk you into maturity and counsel you and coach you and disciple you into maturity.
Right.
So do we have that kind of patience?
Well, that's a great point, because I think part of the struggle in this give and take inside the body with differing opinions is who's actually immature. We're trying to, judge each other.
Yeah, I think this is something, I've talked to Dr. Barna about this, and he's really concerned about it too, is we want people to come to church and come to Christ. So they come to church and they pray the prayer of salvation. Now they're a Christian.
Right.
We think they are spiritually at our level now.
Right.
And the problem is that we've done away with Sunday school. And Sunday school brought people through the basics of the faith. It brought you up through the catechism of the doctrine of your church. Okay, but no, don't get me wrong. I'm all for preaching through the Bible, but man, all of a sudden, a young Christian sitting there, it's a lot to absorb when they don't understand the fundamentals of the faith. So we got to be patient here. And if a Democrat and Republican can have prayer together, what's wrong with that?
Right. Amen, brother. Yep. I agree.
I mean, look at me trying to convince you.
I know.
It doesn't work.
I know.
Pam, you're not done with him.
It's a struggle, isn't it? Yeah, well, check it out.
All right.
We know it's time for back to school. But there is a tradition at some high schools that continues, and it is called Kiss Your Mom Goodbye.
It's a tradition that's both sweet and can be a little bit embarrassing. It's Kiss Your Mom Goodbye Day. At some high schools, the first day for freshmen starts with a big hug and kiss for mom before heading inside. The idea is simple: celebrate family support, ease those first day jitters, and start high school with a smile. While some kids lean into it with a big hug and kiss, others try to make it quick, especially with friends watching. Moms, of course, love it, and many say it's a memory they'll treasure long after high school is over. A fun reminder that while high school is about growing up, you're never too old to show a little love to your mom.
Isn't that great?
Is terrific.
That's cool, man.
That is terrific.
Yeah.
Do we do it here?
I wasn't at a school where they had this tradition. I thought, man.
I'm going to call Dave Fennell. Dave?
Yeah.
At Cascade High School.
Yes. Yes.
I want all the moms bring the kids.
Right. Bring the kids out to greet them.
And let's have a big smooch out on the lawn.
Right, for the freshmen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great way to bring the freshmen in.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. You get that, Dave? Oh, Dave's not up yet. I'm sorry. Didn't want to embarrass him. He doesn't see sunlight until noon.
Oh, God.
He gets up at the crack of noon. All right. Gospel of John, chapter 6, verse 47. Very truly, I tell you, the one who believes has eternal life. Pretty simple. That's Jesus talking there. We'll be right back.
What do you mean?
Cliff Connectley travels across America to give an answer to questions, doubts, and challenges concerning faith.
So one of the reasons I believe that God exists.
Join him for Give Me an Answer, weekdays on the Dove TV.
At Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions, we salute you. Military Mondays are here. Active duty military guard, reserve, and retired military members get 50% off their ticket price every Monday of the season. It's our way of saying thank you for your service. But heads up, this offer is only valid on Mondays. One discount per reservation and can't be booked online. Call to book your adventure today. Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions, where adventure runs wild and we honor our heroes. Some restrictions apply. Visit hellgate.com for details.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for Boise and the Treasure Valley. Seen on KTVJ3 and these Dove TV affiliates.
Hey, good morning to you. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. This is where it happens, right here. Good morning to you, because Jerry's here. When Jerry's here,
oh yeah,
stuff happens.
Yeah, but not the stuff that we necessarily want to happen, but stuff does happen.
Stuff happens here.
Does, yeah.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Wednesday. Beautiful weather today, coming out of really a pleasant week or so. and weekend. But tomorrow, it's going to jump quite a bit, and we're looking at triple digits through the weekend, so get ready for that. Hot and dry, so we'll talk about that. A lot going on in the news, more negotiations back and forth. Historic couple of days in Washington, D.C., and pretty amazing, actually, when you look back on some of the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
But happy Wednesday to you. Anything special today?
Well, it's a big day for us because it is National Radio Day, recognizing the great invention of the radio, which allows us to celebrate news, information, music, and stories carried across the airwaves. And, of course, radio has been around a long time and has been pronounced dead many times. What happened? How come radio keeps existing?
Well, that's a good question, because it's free.
Well, yes. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, but of all the communications that are out there in entertainment, broadcast is still the one that's only regulated.
Yeah, we're the only ones. They watch what we say.
Now, by the way, can I just give a little plug here?
Of course.
Coming up, I won't announce the date.
Okay.
But coming up.
All right.
The Dove Radio will be 65 years old.
Wow.
Our 65th birthday is just ahead of us.
Wow. The Dove is eligible for Medicare. It made it. Wow. 65.
Yeah.
That's pretty stunning. And we made it. All right. Well, we know that radio was really big at one time. I wonder, because back in the 30s when it really took off, by 1938, 4 out of 5 homes had a radio. I wonder how that number plays out today. Especially because car radios and such. I bet there are more radios now than probably ever before.
I don't know the answer to that. I do know, obviously, in cars.
Yeah, okay. And I wonder about audience levels. Do we have bigger?
Well, it's interesting you'd ask that, because the up-and-coming audience getter is podcast.
Yeah.
And those numbers are fairly significant. But there was some data out just the other day that radio is still beating satellite radio.
Yeah. Okay.
Satellite channels. And satellite, when they allowed XM and Sirius to merge, that was an indication that they couldn't make it independently, so they allowed them to merge.
Yeah.
And so, don't get me wrong, it's a place to go, it's a place to get entertainment and all that.
If you want to buy it.
The last couple of periodicals that I get for the industry magazine show that radio's still stronger.
And let me ask you, on your device, your radio in your vehicle, does it give you the option for Sirius? Does, for example, in mine,
I don't pay for it.
As I go to, I don't either. I don't pay for anything that comes in on my radio. But I have a source button, basically, and it takes you to the different modes. Then you can stream off your phone, or you can get over the air, or I have one mode that I touch, and it gives me a test feed for XM.
Oh, yeah. That's always there.
It's always there. Yeah, it's like a tease trying to bring you in.
Well, that's that's called marketing 101.
Right, and if you want it, then you sign up. Then you pay for it. So I always move on.
No, out of the sheer interest of our industry, radio's free, and I lean for radio.
And how about AM? Does it still have a future?
Yes. Okay. It's had its problems, but I think it's going to survive. And a lot of the car manufacturers don't want AM radio because AM frequency band on the spectrum causes problems with electronics. But there's a solution to it. It's called CHIP.
Chip, really? What?
Yeah. You can put a chip in there that solves that problem.
Okay.
But the EVs are really kind of frustrated with it because of the frequency.
Well,
have you noticed that AM radio can get in your bed springs?
In my fillings.
Hey, get in your fillings. It gets into your TV, it gets into your phones and all that.
Yeah.
See, FM doesn't do that. Okay, so that's why the car manufacturers were a little upset about it. But I think they're going to lose because AM is still needed to make sure that the country is covered for emergency broadcast systems.
And that's the key on it.
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
one of the biggies,
All right. Okay, moving on.
National Accessible Air Travel Day, focusing on the need for accessible air travel for people with disabilities. And, you know, you're heavily active with what goes on at the airport. Are there any special, you know, measures and things that you guys have to look at in making this possible?
Well, look, there's all kinds of things. You have county, city, and then you have the feds, the FAA, and you got to have all of these. You got it's a dance.
I bet it is.
You know, and so to meet everybody's requirements, but our little airport here is the crown jewel of the county, and in my opinion, and I think that the future is amazing. We're going to do well over 1 million passengers this year through our little airport here, and we're going to look to the future. We're in a planning mode. It's a $200 million plus project to
That's amazing,
expand it.
too, because it wasn't that long ago that we went through a big building project here and built what is now standing.
Yeah, and that was a big deal.
That was a very big deal.
Now that can't handle the crowd, and so it's we're growing. I remember as a pilot, when I was a young pilot back in my 20s, I'd fly into Medford with my boss.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nothing.
I bet. Yeah.
In fact, anybody could have walked on the field. You know?
Not now.
Not now.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
You go in for an early morning flight, and that thing is packed in there.
Yeah. If you're smart, you'll get the pre-check TSA.
That is smart.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
If you do any kind of amount of flying, you know, you do that.
And of course, if you want to fly, you want to do it on a full stomach. And one of those things that'll help you in the morning is bacon, because it is National Bacon Lovers Day. What is not to love there? Fan of the smoky, savory, and a bit salty. It is a great food for all of us. And of course, it pairs well with a lot of things. And it's been around a long time. Bacon is rich and has a long history, dating all the way back to the 1500 BC, where records show that the ancient Chinese enjoyed cured pork belly, and other records indicate that the Romans used it as well, but they used it for nefarious activities and rituals, but they were eventually saved and they got over that. Now it's just on their burgers and stuff like that. So
I found it on a turkey sandwich.
That sounds wonderful.
I didn't.
Yes.
It was an accidental thing.
Wait a minute. How do you get bacon accidentally on a turkey sandwich?
Well, I am so tired finding the place to go to lunch.
Oh, really?
I'm just worn out from it.
Oh, okay.
I just, I don't know. I guess, you know, your palate gets bored.
Yeah.
So I went into Arby's the other day, and I just don't like things with a lot of bread on it.
Oh, okay. Well, I know.
So I'm looking over there, and there's this turkey bacon sandwich. I'm looking at that, and I go, So I tried it.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Okay, now let's address the bread thing. Pam doesn't like a lot of bread either, so she's always pulling stuff off when we get sandwiches stuff. How about the roll-ups, the wraps? Because they have all the ingredients of a sandwich, but there's less, flour stuff around it.
Yeah, they have wraps. Okay, but and people like that. I'm not quite. The wrap reminds me of just a bad burrito. I don't know what goes on in my mind up there. So I'm not into that.
That's great.
But I discovered the sandwich, and I also discovered I can't eat the whole thing.
Okay.
Oh. So I give half away, but it's not bad.
Well, that's wise. Giving half away, that...
If you're around, but no, you're living this life of luxury.
Yes.
Hit and run, get out of here.
Well, top it off with some chocolate pecan pie.
Okay.
Because that's what we're enjoying, and it's, like the original, it goes well with ice cream. So I'm not sure if I've had a chocolate pecan pie. I've had plenty of pecan pie, but chocolate, that sounds like a wonderful thing. Maybe a little bacon on that as well.
Let's go for it, yeah.
Yeah, why not? And then finally, we have a word for our day, allodoxophobia. And if you have this condition, allodoxophobia, you cannot sit in one of these chairs, because allodoxophobia is the fear of other people's opinions. I know somebody who's not fearful of that. He resides in the White House.
Yeah, he didn't care.
He doesn't have allodoxophobia, and I don't think we do, although you get a lot more email than I do. How's it working?
Well, yeah.
Do you get other people's opinions?
Oh, boy. I don't mind reading their opinion as long as they let me know who they are.
Okay.
Yes. Some of them are entertaining. Some of them kind of push you a little bit.
Well, this is a real condition.
Is it?
Yes. Allodoxophobia. People fear being judged, criticized, or ridiculed for their opinions. And you know what? We live in a day and an age where there are a lot. Yes.
Oh, so it's a fear of people not respecting your opinion.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
And that's why you get the emails that you get sometimes.
Well, I have to tell you, I've gone from, what do you call it,
allodoxophobia.
Okay, I've gone from allodoxophobia to I don't give a rip.
Yes.
Have a nice day.
Next segment. I love it.
All right, let's check out the weather.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With conditions continuing mostly clear and dry, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, becoming sunny with daytime highs in the low 80s for Vancouver and Portland and mid-80s for Wilsonville and McMinnville. Moving down the Willamette Valley with sunny skies and daytime high temperatures near 85 for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, with a calm wind this morning becoming north 5 to 8 miles per hour in the afternoon. Sunny skies today across central Oregon with daytime high temperatures in the mid-80s for Prineville and low 80s around Bend and Sun River, continuing with sunny and hot in Boise, Idaho with a high in the mid-90s. Along the Oregon coast, becoming sunny in Coos Bay with a high near 75, sunny and near 70 in Port Orford, mostly sunny skies for Brookings with a high in the low 60s, and Crescent City, California near 66. In southern Oregon, sunny for the Rogue Valley with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and mid-80s for Ashland, sunny, calm, and mid-80s for the Klamath Basin. Into northern California, sunny in Wairika with a high near 90, sunny and hot from Redding with a high near 100, through Chico and Sacramento, both with high temperatures in the upper 90s and a light northwest wind. In the Bay Area, sunny with a high temperature in the low 90s in Santa Rosa, becoming sunny in Napa with a high in the upper 80s, sunny in San Francisco with a high in the mid-70s, and today in San Jose, sunny and upper 80s. A look at your Wednesday weather from Grange Co-op.
Oh, isn't that pretty?
Oh, yeah.
So you can tell the days are shorter because of the shadow there.
Yeah.
And so even if we have hot days, they're shorter days.
Yeah.
And we have cooler nights. I am just amazed how quickly the leaves are turning out there.
I know. And we are getting, with the temperatures climbing up, but the nights have been wonderful. Good sleeping weather here. So, all right. Time for a shot of encouragement this morning with Pastor Greg Laurie.
Do you really want your marriage healed? Do you really want to be freed from dependency on drugs or alcohol? Do you really want to be free from your sexual sin? Do you really want to be made well? Do you really want to change? There's God's part and there's your part. He says, I can't, sir. I have no one to help me get to the pool. Jesus is like, forget the pool. You don't understand what's happening here, buddy. And I love what Jesus says. First of all, he asks the impossible. Secondly, he removes all possibility for a relapse. Thirdly, he expects continued success. First, he asks the impossible. Pick up your sleeping mat and walk. And in this guy's defense, he goes for it. He goes, I can't. He says, all right. And all of a sudden, strength is restored to his feet and his legs, and he stands up. What an amazing thing. So he did the impossible, but then Jesus removes any possibility for a relapse. Don't take it with you. You're not coming back here again. We're done with the pool. We're done with this whole life. It's a new life. Put your old life behind you. And here's the problem that some people have when they say they're going to become Christians, is they don't make a break with the old life. And they don't make a break with the old friends. I can tell you, when I became a Christian, I had some pretty low-life friends. I had friends in low places. And I had to completely break off my relationship with them because they would have drugged me down so fast. In fact, they even tried to immediately after they heard I'd become a Christian. And I had to make new friends. And every Christian needs to do this. Your friends matter. You show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Look for godly friends. And if you're a single person, look for a godly man or a godly woman.
Well,
yep.
A big amen.
Yep.
A big amen. All right, 1:15. Let's take a look at some of the top headlines this morning. And, one of the things that's going on is what are they going to do with Ukraine? As you know, the European leaders were there. Zelensky was there at the White House with the president. They had this big meeting. It's really historic in so many ways. Well, the troops, or excuse me, the countries that were there are coming together and say we will work together in securing the peace deal. Whatever the peace deal is, we're going to make sure that you are secure in that. So it's kind of like we're going to give you the protection of NATO, but you don't have to be a part of NATO. Mm-hmm. And the president says, yes, I want to be a part of that, but no boots on the ground. And how does this work? Well, the press secretary, Levette, she talks to that.
The president has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine, but we can certainly help in the coordination and perhaps provide other means of security guarantees to our European allies. The president understands security guarantees are crucially important to ensure a lasting peace, and he has directed his national security team to coordinate with our friends in Europe and also to continue to cooperate and discuss these matters with Ukraine and Russia as well.
Okay, so in the meantime, the president's saying, all right, look, I'm doing everything I can, but at the end of the day, President Zelensky and President Putin, you guys need to get together. Mm-hmm. You guys are, you need to get together. Symbolically, it says a lot that the two enemies can come together, and can they really work some things out? And the president said, I'll meet if you want me to meet, but Caroline Levette talks about the president's desire to see Zelensky and Putin get together.
The president has spoken to both leaders about this, and both leaders have expressed a willingness to sit down with each other. And so our national security team will help both countries do that. Ultimately, the president has always said that there are areas of disagreement in this war that will have to be discussed and decided upon by these two countries. And so he wants these two countries to engage in direct diplomacy. He's said that from the very beginning, which is why he's agreeable to the idea of having President Zelensky and President Putin get together, and I understand accommodations for that meeting are underway. As soon as we hear more details, we'll be sure to let all of you know.
And there's another part of this. I mean, it's going to be really hard here. Could they get together and make the concessions that are needed to bring about peace when they both have their own stake in the ground, so to speak? Yeah. But at least getting together and breaking the ice where they can talk. I don't expect much to come from it. I could be wrong. So that means that President Trump has to get back involved, which I think he knows he will have to get back involved, and start taking the pieces of the deal, putting it on the table and negotiating. Yes. Negotiation means you give and take.
Yeah. Well, true. Yeah.
That's negotiation. And so we'll see what happens. In the meantime, over on the other side of things, the Russiagate thing is still a big mess. Tulsi Gabbard there, head of intelligence, national intelligence, has dropped a lot of bombs out there lately, uncovering the fact that there was a meeting between the time that President Trump was elected and before he was sworn into office, that President Obama and all of his team met to see if they could thwart the election. And it was like December 9th or something like that, during that time zone. Yeah. And it's pretty obvious now that this has happened. So Gabbard comes out and explains, really, in simple terms, what they discovered.
The integrity of our democratic republic depends on the American people knowing the truth about what actually happened and seeking that accountability, bringing about that accountability. I don't know how else to characterize what happens when there is a sitting president of the United States, there is a director of the CIA, a director of national intelligence under President Obama, the head of the NSA, James Comey is the head of the FBI, all coming together, and this is documented in what we released, all coming together to create this lie with the intent of delegitimizing the duly elected president of the United States because the person they wanted to win actually lost. And the American people made their own choice in spite of everything that happened in that 2016 election, and they chose Donald Trump. This was not a one-off thing. This wasn't just, oh, well, they fudged the lines a little bit. They created a lie and propagated that lie in order to try to undermine the person that the American people chose to be our president and commander-in-chief.
Okay, so some of these people have already given immunity, which is, to me is an admission. of guilt, but some have not. So where do they go with this? And by the way, let us not forget that Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat from Hawaii.
Yes, yeah.
And she had enough with the DNC and quit. And now she has this position.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, one of the guys involved in this little ring that we've been hearing about, obviously, was Comey. Did you see one of his latest tweets where he's talking about Taylor Swift and he's a Swiftie and he's relating to her lyrics and holding? I was like, what happened to this guy? Is he gone off the deep end?
I saw that.
Huh?
I saw his comments, and I'm going, what does this have to do with anything?
He's
and
in the
why
tall
in the world are
weeds.
you putting yourself up to do this?
Right.
Why are you holding a camera, your phone up, and recording this and then posting it?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, even some who may be sympathetic to him, are going, what?
I don't know. So what if you're a Swiftie?
Keep it to yourself. Good golly.
You really want to be identified with that?
No.
Oh, my stars.
Word.
I don't know. It's okay. I don't know.
Sorry.
What's the word?
Yeah, I forgot. Wait a minute. Let me find it.
Yeah.
It is, our word is allodoxophobia.
Okay.
Allodoxophobia.
My answer to that is I don't give a rip phobia. We'll be right back.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Where big ideas grow.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
He was hired by the previous governor and the current governor. If he was pro-Trump, this would be all over the news.
Are covering their face now because they're being doxxed by the left, and they take pictures of the agents. You know, we talk a lot about AI technology.
It won't be long that Jerry and I can sleep in the show. You're going to see a couple of guys much younger.
Wake up to information. Mornings on the Dove, weekdays.
How y'all doing out there? Happy Wednesday to you. 23 minutes past the hour. A little bit of backyard news. The governors of Oregon and Washington have basically issued a statement back to the Trump administration relative to sanctuary laws and basically told them to take a hike. Both Governor Kotek and Governor Ferguson are not going to be so-called intimidated into relinquishing sanctuary states issues or sanctuary state status for the 2 states. Oregon being the oldest in the country that has sanctuary status. Even Governor Ferguson, he's pretty fiery guy, and he says, you are hereby, in his note, you are hereby notified that the Washington state will not be bullied or intimidated by threats and legally baseless accusations. So basically, they want to go ahead and let Oregon and Washington to be sanctuary states. And you kind of have to ask the citizenry of both states, do you really want this? Because we're seeing what sanctuary status does. Now, the threat behind all this is you're not going to get any federal dollars. Okay, well, take away the federal dollars. Okay, but if the state... I don't know if this is a federal law over a state where they have to force them to acquiesce, or they're just not going to receive the money. It hasn't been tested in court yet. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But and even the Portland mayor, Keith Wilson, got involved and said, yeah, we want Portland to remain a sanctuary city. Well, how's it working for you?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
And you kind of go, really, you want to do this? Did the citizens really want people to come in and tear things up? And
well, and also not only that, but to take public services and funds and the health benefits and put people. I mean, it's crazy what's going on, and who's supposed to pay for it all?
Well, see, they're not going to get the federal dollars now, so that means the state's going to be paying for everything. You want your tax dollars going to people that are eligible to get a job but won't get one. I mean, I don't know. It's easy for me to give an opinion here, which is that phobia.
Allodoxophobia.
Yeah, that one.
That one. I like yours better.
No, yeah. I don't give a rip phobia.
Yeah, that's
so the only thing I can say is that I think this is going to have to be played out. We'll see where it goes. But basically, both states are saying to the Trump administration, have a nice day. And, okay, I don't know if the feds have power to force a state to give up sanctuary status.
And, this is kind of an old tussle, just a new, point of contention on it, and that is feds against states and whose laws are heavier and more important and way out.
Yeah, I don't know if the 10th Amendment, which is, states being somewhat independent.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're not going to go for it, and they're telling the administration to take a hike.
All right.
In a nice way.
In a nice way.
All right, let's check out Wall Street. Let's check out Wall Street for this Wednesday. Thank you, Preston. Preston has smart lawn, and he's been really a great guy to work with. All right, the Dow's off 49 points. The Nasdaq's down 286, almost 287. And the S&P down about 39 points. Not sure what's driving that down. This morning I haven't seen any economic numbers. That did push gold back up a few more pennies. 33.84. Silver still struggling, hanging in there just below 38, 37.76. And crude oil, let's see, I'm looking at that. I think it's up about 10 cents, $65.62 a barrel.
Yeah.
That's actually down a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we saw an interesting picture out of the Oval Office with European leaders sitting around the president's desk.
School's in.
School's in, yeah. Who's the boss? There have been a lot of different captions coming up for this. A headache, I think, for a lot on the left because they saw that. It looked like there was some real comfortable unity going on there.
Yeah.
But retired General Jack Keane joined Fox and Friends, and he was asked what kind of impact will the unity that was visibly on display between the European leaders have on President Putin, and here's his answer.
Well, I think it certainly has to have some impact on him. He already knows that he's internationally isolated by invading Ukraine. He already knows that there's sanctions imposed on him from the European nations and from the United States. He does have partners, and those partners are all authoritarian regimes that are up to malfeasance themselves in China, Iran, and North Korea. So certainly he got the message, that there is unity here, that there is a not only they're coming together, but the way they come together and the way they talk to each other, you can feel the commitment and the resolve in moving towards peace, being led by the president. He gets that message, and they are determined. And I think, Lawrence, the fact that they spent much of the day together talking about two things: how do we get a peace agreement? But the second thing is critical to getting a peace agreement. And that second thing is, how do we prevent Putin from reattacking once we have a peace agreement? Because that is what he's always done. How do we do that? And you can see what's happened here. As a result of that, having real multinational security guarantees that they discussed on the table, that gives Zelensky running room in terms of options that he may be willing to pursue, and he's actually said it, into a land deal as long as it's proportionate. Yeah. He wouldn't have said that if he hadn't heard that there's going to be guarantees with multinational troops likely backed by air power, build up him militarily, because China, Iran, North Korea are going to do the same for Russia once there's a peace agreement. But the crucial thing is stopping Putin from reattacking. And that really opens the door for Zelensky to move in with a counteroffer that could possibly lead to a peace agreement with Putin. Listen, there's hard work ahead. Yeah. And the president knows that full well. But look, this is a major step that has been taken here. It started Friday. Yeah. And aren't we now past all the nonsense of red carpet images, flyovers, clapping for Putin coming towards the president? Let's get past all that nonsense. Not that the flyover was nonsense. I thought that sent an unbelievable message to Putin. We spent 2 days talking about that stuff.
Well, the other thing that's just brewing here, the European leaders coming together, working together with the president, and whatever the peace agreement is to ensure that Ukraine will be protected, is telling Putin that this agreement will be secure well past Trump's administration.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So even though Putin has outlived several administrations, he's still there. Yeah. When this peace agreement is put into place, you got the Europeans wanting to protect Ukraine from further Russian invasion. And so this will be long past Trump being in the White House. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and you bring up an interesting point. You know, Putin has been around a long time. You know, he has survived longer than any of his Soviet counterparts. Any Soviet. Nobody lasts as long as Putin.
No, he's an interesting guy. The question is, will he survive an election himself? And I mean, power being what it is over there. But the military is pretty exhausted. And we'll see what happens, you know. Yeah. But I can't help but think the citizens of Russia want Western benefits back.
They want McDonald's.
They want the golden arches back, you know.
Yes.
So anyway.
And what that represents, basically.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway. All right, well, we'll take a whatever that phobia break is. We'll be right back.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com. Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family-run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
He's giving them a word of encouragement. He wants to give them a word of help. He says, "Come to me, all ye who are heavy laden and you're borne down and you feel the weight of life itself." And he says, "I will give you rest." Here's Jesus, the living Son of God, the sovereign God of this universe, now seated at the Father's right hand. And he says, "All power has been given to me in heaven and earth." So we know that whatever burden you and I carry, he is able to deal with it. Because the Bible's asked a couple of times, is there anything too hard for God? How can anything be too hard for God, who is sovereignly in control of every single solitary thing, who is omniscient, knowing all things, omnipresent, all things are in his presence, and he has the power to handle every circumstance of life. And what is he saying to us? Come to me.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Okay, good morning. 26 minutes before the hour. Well, things are happening all over the place. Let's check in with CBN Newswatch and find out what's happening in Israel.
This is CBN Newswatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN Newswatch on this Wednesday, August 20th. I'm Gary Lane. We begin this half hour in the Middle East. Israel's plan to encircle and conquer Gaza City has been approved. As Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, this comes in the midst of a growing war of words over Australia's plan to recognize a Palestinian state.
Israel's defense minister approved plans for Operation Gideon's Chariots 2, the plan to conquer Gaza City. The operation will involve 5 divisions, and officials say the plan includes calling up as many as 60,000 reserves. The initial phase of the plan has already started, and within days, the IDF would be encouraging the city's residents to move south to safe zones. In the meantime, Israel is still considering the late ceasefire proposal for a phased hostage release, even though Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu recently has said he wants a comprehensive deal with all hostages released at once. On the international front, Israel is in a war of words with Australia's leader over his support for a Palestinian state. Earlier this week, Netanyahu sent a letter to Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. He said his stance pours, quote, fuel on this anti-Semitic fire and rewards Hamas terror, hardens Hamas's refusal to free the hostages, and emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. He concluded, it is not diplomacy, it is appeasement. Netanyahu also called Albanese a weak politician who betrayed Israel. Albanese brushed off the criticism.
What I say is that Israel, of course, increasingly there is global concern. And global concern because people want to see an end to the cycle of violence that we have seen for far too long. That is what Australians want to see as well.
Australia's Deputy Prime Minister said they are following the UK, France, and Canada.
So we are very much within the mainstream of the international community, which has always supported a two-state solution. And in that context, what we want to see is in this moment dialogue between nations, and that's why we regard this as a very disappointing and unjustified reaction.
In response to this growing movement, veteran journalist David Badin, who has followed the Palestinian Authority for 3 decades, published a list of questions these nations should consider. Will the planned Palestinian state abolish the Palestinian Charter, which mandates the destruction of Israel? Will the planned Palestinian state revoke the law that guarantees salaries to anyone who murders a Jew, the so-called pay-to-slay policy? And will the planned Palestinian state eliminate educational materials that glorify the murder of Jews? Palestinian Media Watch is also reporting that Fatah, the political arm of the Palestinian Authority, hosted a summer camp for 200 young boys and girls with the goal to create a generation that will, quote, continue the path of the martyrs and prisoners.
Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, what other questions did David Badin raise in his article about the Palestinian Authority?
Well, Gary, these are really questions, penetrating questions that really should be asked by these nations. One of them, another one is, will the planned Palestinian state remove texts that glorify those who murder Jews? And also in the maps of the planned Palestinian state, will the state of Israel appear alongside it? Many of these maps just have Palestine. They don't have any sign of Israel. Another one, Gary, is will the planned Palestinian state cancel the slogan of the, quote, right of return through armed struggle? And then one more, Gary, is will the planned Palestinian state abide by the Constitution of the state of Palestine based on Quranic Sharia law? Now, that's a very important one, that Sharia law would be the law of the land in any future Palestinian state. And Badin is saying these are the questions that should be asked of the foreign ministers of France, the United Kingdom, Norway, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, all those countries that are calling for a Palestinian state.
Well, we just have to keep an eye on it. I mean, it's just ever changing.
Yeah.
But my concern is that the delay. Is that a reload?
Right.
Or I don't know.
Right, and the same thing holds true over for the war with Russia and Ukraine. A lot of people are worried that if they do get a ceasefire, basically it's just delay, and then Putin rearms and reloads.
That's why you got to have all these other nations saying to Putin, no.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not the deal. All right, good morning to you. Let's check out the weather from a guy that has all kinds of phobias.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With conditions continuing mostly clear and dry, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, becoming sunny with daytime highs in the low 80s for Vancouver and Portland and mid-80s for Wilsonville and McMinnville. Moving down the Willamette Valley with sunny skies and daytime high temperatures near 85 for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, with a calm wind this morning becoming north 5 to 8 miles per hour in the afternoon. Sunny skies today across central Oregon with daytime high temperatures in the mid-80s for Prineville and low 80s around Bend and Sun River, continuing with sunny and hot in Boise, Idaho with a high in the mid-90s. Along the Oregon coast, becoming sunny in Coos Bay with a high near 75, sunny and near 70 in Port Orford, mostly sunny skies for Brookings with a high in the low 60s, and Crescent City, California near 66. In southern Oregon, sunny for the Rogue Valley with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and mid-80s for Ashland, sunny, calm, and mid-80s for the Klamath Basin. Into northern California, sunny in Wairika with a high near 90, sunny and hot from Redding with a high near 100, through Chico and Sacramento, both with high temperatures in the upper 90s and a light northwest wind. In the Bay Area, sunny with a high temperature in the low 90s in Santa Rosa, becoming sunny in Napa with a high in the upper 80s, sunny in San Francisco with a high in the mid-70s, and today in San Jose, sunny and upper 80s. A look at your Wednesday weather from Grange Co-op.
And a beautiful shot of southern Oregon, and looking down over the valley. That is at the south end, and that is also the color of hot and dry. Mm-hmm. So please be careful out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was the cutting edge of technology and was patented on this day in history.
On August 20th, 1896, the world of communication took a giant step forward when the dial telephone was patented. Up until then, making a call meant talking directly to a human operator who physically connected your line to the person you wanted to reach. The new dial system changed everything. It let callers connect themselves by simply turning a numbered dial one click at a time. It was an early step toward automation, and though the first models were slow and clunky, the convenience was undeniable. By the 1920s and 30s, dial telephones became common in homes and businesses, helping people feel more in control of their conversations. The dial telephone stayed popular for much of the 20th century until touch-tone models eventually replaced it. But the familiar spinning wheel and the sound of the click, click, click as it spun back remain a nostalgic symbol of a time when the telephone was truly modern technology, as it still is in ways that couldn't have been imagined when the dial telephone was patented.
And
one ringy-dingy, two ringy-dingy.
No, that
wasn't that
no, that was
Laughing.
Ronan Martin's Laughing,
Yeah.
and that was Lily Tomlin.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because she was the telephone operator, and we've seen a lot of films, where the telephone operator was listening in to conversation.
Yeah. Oh, they were. There was no such thing as private party.
Yeah.
Now, I have up in my office the telephone that came out of my grandparents' home.
Really?
Which is a non-dial ring, but it was two boxes. So the phone had the receiver on it where you sit in the saddle,
Okay.
But it didn't have a dial on it.
Yeah.
It had a little box that you dialed.
Okay.
And then you picked it up.
Oh, gosh. So, okay, here's one I'll take you back. Remember, there used to be a telephone number that we could rotary dial to get the time. And that number was popcorn.
That's right.
Popcorn.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to popcorn?
Who knows?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, well.
Well, let's go back a little bit in time. We've seen some historic meetings this week, but how about go back to November of 2001? And in this clip, President George W. Bush and Vladimir Putin are talking, and then they get a question from a 7-year-old.
Oh.
Watch this.
This is the last question. And then what we're going to do is we're going to walk around and say hello to everybody, and then we're going to go back to the ranch. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Judy Swinson, and I'm in 7th grade.
7th grade. Good.
If you do go to Russia, are you going to be taking some kids from Crawford?
No.
Я вам очень благодарен за этот вопрос.
I'm extremely grateful for you for this question.
Аудитория начала с этого вопроса практически, и вы закончили этим вопросом.
The whole audience basically started on this note, and you finalized the whole thing with your question.
Это не случайно.
This is not a mere coincidence, I believe.
Мне президент говорит: приезжай, когда у нас здесь плюс 40, я тебя запишу в клуб. Я здесь создал клуб 40. Мы бегаем, когда 40 градусов жары, мы здесь бегаем несколько миль.
When on our way here, the president invited to come here when it's plus 40 Celsius, more than 110, and he invited me to join a plus 40 club who jog when it is 110 and more.
Я подумаю еще.
Well, I'll think about it.
Но у нас действительно в некоторых регионах страны, там, где люди живут, в Сибири, вот в этом году, допустим, прошлой зимой, температура 2 недели держалась минус 50.
Indeed, in our country, there are regions where people live, by the way, in Siberia, where last year, for 2 weeks in a row, the temperatures were around or below minus 50 Celsius for 2 weeks running.
Я вам обещаю, что я в такие условия президента не помещу в Россию.
My promise is I will not terrorize your president with such low temperatures.
Но теперь...
Well, again, I think there's a little lesson here. I mean, and Putin was there before even Bush.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
You know,
yeah,
and you kind of go, okay, he's lived through all these administrations.
His longevity is amazing, yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, let's see. I know that's a place very hot you may want to avoid forever. We'll be right back.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your window seal, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
Welcome home to the Dove, an encouraging place, an informative place, a safe network for your entire family, offering hope.
Welcome home.
The Dove's mission is to be a beacon of truth, providing authentic faith-based content to those seeking Christ and those faithful, from a who's who of respected Christian teachers.
Welcome home to the Dove.
The Dove Network, broadcasting and streaming reliable, trustworthy news, information, and talk. Featuring Mornings on the Dove, Focus Today, CBN News, and other current affairs programming to stay connected. The Dove Network, a trusted friend, enriching your faith with reliable, inspiring content and spiritual resources that will change your life forever.
Welcome home to the Dove TV, radio, and the Dove.us.
The Dove, encouraging and informative. You are welcome here.
Hi, good morning to you. Happy Wednesday. Boy, it's a nice day, but nice day today, hot tomorrow.
Yeah,
and that'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think. 4 days of...
Yeah, the weekends can be the toughest, yep.
Yeah, so consider your pets now. Make sure they have some cold water and cool places, okay? Well, Senator Tim Scott, quite a guy, and he was on what they call the Heaven and Earth podcast. And, of course, we heard earlier he talked about the spiritual climate in Washington, D.C., but he was asked directly a question. How does he seek the guidance of the Holy Spirit in navigating the Capitol Hill? And here's what he had to say.
Perhaps the best way to say or to tell a story about how I seek the Lord in those circumstances, situations, is I remember I'm a freshman in the House 2011, and I'm studying everything I could possibly. I am digesting more information about global politics, national governance, and money than the law allows. I mean, literally spending hours and hours and hours trying to figure out how in the world we have $14.3 trillion of debt. Trayvon Martin situation, racial discord happening in Florida and around the country. We had geopolitical situations across the world, and I'm just getting better at it by the day, just getting better and better and better. And I was walking in to speak to a group of men in Somerville, South Carolina, and I was getting ready to walk out, and I heard the still small voice of the Holy Spirit say something to me that caught my attention. He said, "I miss my time with you." I thought I was doing exactly what I was called to do. I was working hard at being a good public servant, representing the Lord in one of the most chaotic, complicated places on the planet. And what he was telling me was he needed more of my time with him so that I could carry out his will. I had forgotten that the most important thing for me to do was to spend time in the presence of the King of Kings. I had forgotten the most important part of my public service was not my ability to wrap my arms around very complicated economic principles or global affairs or racial tension. I needed to be quiet before the Lord, and I had to reprioritize my day. Some pastor said, new level, new devil. And I had forgotten that. And so one of the things I started doing was spending more time with the Lord so I would be prepared for the day ahead. And as a result of that, when I was making very difficult votes, the one was in 2011, later that year, was the Budget and Control Act. We call it the BCA of 2011. And I was praying about how to vote on that one because it was a very controversial vote, very difficult vote. And I ran into a friend, Mick Mulvaney, and Mick was praying about it, and he said, "You know, Tim, there's a little chapel in the Capitol." I was like, "What? There's a chapel in the Capitol?" He's like, "Yeah." So we went to the chapel in the Capitol along with my really good friend, Trey Gowdy, and 3 or 4 of us gathered there, and we had prayer, and we left and all voted the same way, which doesn't happen all the time. But at that point, we heard the same thing in our own hearts and voted the same way.
That was a revealing little conversation there. I liked where he said, I thought I was doing what I'm supposed to do or what I'm supposed to be doing. And then he hears that small voice. And it's like, you know, how many times have we done that? It's like you're thinking, okay, Lord, I'm on your path. I'm following where you're supposed to, you know, where I think I'm supposed to be. And then you've kind of maybe not quite heard what the will of God is for you. And then you do. And you think, wait a minute, how did I get off track?
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
When's the last time you've been stopped by God? Well, I know you're late.
You really March 21st.
That'll slow you down.
Yeah, boy.
No, but I mean, really, there's a little booklet out. Man, you could read it in a couple hours. I'm a slow reader, so I read it twice.
Okay.
It's back on my library now. But it's a little book by Chuck Swindoll, back in his early days. I think he wrote this, gosh, I'm going to say back in the early 90s, somewhere in there. And it's called Time Alone with the Lord. But there's a section in the book that deals with solitude. And do you have time set aside in complete solitude with the Lord? I never considered that. I mean, the other day I'm driving in. I like praying out loud in my truck when I'm by myself until Siri interrupts me. And that's happened twice now. I about jumped out of my truck while driving,
Yeah.
I'm going, what? Come on, get out of my life.
Right.
Get out of here.
Right.
But the point being is, I think what he is saying there, here he is doing what God called him to do. He's busy doing it. And he gets checked in his spirit.
Yeah.
So the question I have is, do you have solitude time as an individual? And that means nothing else but God.
Yeah. Good point.
Scripture says, be still and know. Not be busy and know.
All right.
You having a tough time here?
You're talking about time.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
we're running out.
All right, we're running out of time. Go for it.
Well, it is time for back to school.
Oh.
And in some high schools, there's a cute little tradition that continues. Take a look
Fidel,
at it.
listen
Yeah,
up.
it's called Kiss Your Mom Goodbye.
It's a tradition that's both sweet and can be a little bit embarrassing. It's Kiss Your Mom Goodbye Day. At some high schools, the first day for freshmen starts with a big hug and kiss for mom before heading inside. The idea is simple. Celebrate family support, ease those first day jitters, and start high school with a smile. While some kids lean into it with a big hug and kiss, others try to make it quick, especially with friends watching. Moms, of course, love it, and many say it's a memory they'll treasure long after high school is over. A fun reminder that while high school is about growing up, you're never too old to show a little love to your mom.
That's the truth, Mom.
That's good stuff. Dave Fennell, you need to do that at Cascade.
Yeah.
And maybe you could be a mom for a day for those who forgot to kiss a mom. You just stand up there and let them kiss you before you go in. John 6:47, verily, verily, I tell you, the one who believes has eternal life, not the one who makes deals.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com. We've all enjoyed a real hot summer, and now fire danger is biting at its heels. Flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry, LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm Guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Breakfast served daily until 2 p.m. Breakfast burritos, biscuits and gravy, skillets, omelets, and more. Sweet Tea Express. Don't get caught hungry.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why McKelly's is automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond, but that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
Hunters, where the true target is the truth of the gospel. Watch Twin Factor weekends on the Dove TV. Encouraging and informative.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Perfect timing and always an honor and a delight to have with us Mark Meckler. When he has time, we grab it, and he is president of the Convention of States, an outstanding organization doing great work. In fact, that is also his website, conventionofstates.com. There's a picture of the landing page, and you can go there and learn a lot about what his work is doing, and he is making great progress. Order up the little booklet as well. And stay informed, conventionofstates.com. Brother Mark, good to see you, friend. How are you, bud?
Good morning. Great to be with you, Perry.
Thanks for your time. All right, so you're in Texas. How in the world are you handling the drama?
I think we've grown used to it here in Texas, and I would say a lot of it's fake drama. Like, we knew when these Democrats ran away, like the cowards that they are, that they would come back. Ultimately, it was going to happen. So there's a lot of theatrics that take place in between here and there, and ultimately they came back and they lose the votes because Texas is a red state.
Okay, so were they punished in any way? I mean, were they? It seems like they really create a lot of havoc. Did they go past the statutes of limitations and all that?
Yeah, I think the frustrating thing for a lot of conservative folks here in Texas, myself among them, is no, they weren't punished. Nothing really happened to them. Nothing will happen to them. For a long time now, we've had pretty feckless leadership in our House of Representatives. I think that leadership continues, and it is beholden to Democrats. Dustin Burrows, who is the Speaker of the House here in Texas, is elected by the Democrats, voting with a minority of Republicans. So I don't expect to see any consequences for the Democrats, and we're going to have to change that in our House if we want real reform.
Are they trying any legal action?
Yeah, I don't think there's any legal action that's going to take place. I mean, I think really this has been all a big hullabaloo about nothing. The redistricting will take place, though I have to say I think it's somewhat watered down now. It's not as good as it was going to be before the Democrats left. And again, I think that's on the Speaker and the leadership in the House. I think it's failed leadership here in the state of Texas.
So why have they acquiesced when they got the votes?
Well, the reason is we have this unique situation here, Perry, and I think people consider Texas a red state, and by vote it is. But every session, every 2 years, our House of Representatives elects a speaker who is beholden to the Democrats. And the way that they do this is that you get some of the weakest, worst Republicans get together. They find a Republican who's willing to go cut a deal with the Democrats. They get all the Democrat votes, and then they'll get, roughly 18 to 20 Republican votes who will vote with that Democrat bloc and elect a speaker who will give the Democrats a lot of what they want, often giving them chairmanships of committees. He promised he wouldn't do that this time, so instead he created subcommittees where bills were able to be killed. We have our State Affairs Committee where a lot of our most important bills come through, and that was chaired by a representative by the name of Ken King, who's part of this faction. 50 of the Republican priorities died in that State Affairs Committee. So it's a pretty sad state of circumstances here in our House of Representatives.
In the meantime, Governor Newsom stuck his nose in this and wants to retaliate by redistricting California, which is, I mean, the entertainment doesn't get any better on some of this stuff. What do you think about that?
Well, as you know, I came from California, moved to Texas 8 years ago. California has already been heavily redistricted. They have a quote unquote nonpartisan redistricting commission, which is anything but nonpartisan. They're supposed to redistrict according to a schedule and according to rules. And even the director of that quote unquote nonpartisan redistricting commission came out and said, well, we're going to have to blow all of this off, all the rules we put in place and everything. And we're going to have to go to the voters and try to get the authority to redistrict prior to the time we're supposed to do it. I think they'll probably pull that off and they'll redistrict. And I think they're going to get a few more seats out of it, pushing Republicans even further out of the political mainstream in California.
Okay, the hypocrisy of this just really reeks because, gerrymandering, redistricting, reapportionment, I mean, that's been going on for years. I mean, if you look at Oregon, it looks like a worm got loose across our state.
Well, Perry, it's important we remember where the term gerrymandering even comes from. And it comes from literally the founding of the country. Eldridge Gerry is the one who invented this idea. And he goes back to the Constitutional Convention itself, all the way back to the founding of the country. So we've been doing this for a long time. It's not surprising. Unfortunately, it's just gotten worse and worse over the years. And now the states are getting to the point of what I would describe almost as a stasis, where virtually no seats are competitive. I think that's where we're going to end up in this country. And it just furthers the division between red and blue in America.
So is this an issue that you take under consideration with the Convention of States?
No, it's really not, because this is not about limiting federal power. This is something that the states have the power to do. And we're big believers in state power. And so if states want to do this, more power to them. But what we're going to see, and what we are seeing because of this, is not just more partisan divide, but a population realignment. We see people like me moving from California to Texas, and I'm not alone. There are hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of us that have made that move. We see people leaving states like Illinois and New Jersey and New York and going to Florida and Tennessee and Texas. I think we're going to see more and more of this. We're going to see the states themselves become more partisan.
So just so you know, in the state of Oregon, I mean, we're about as blue as you get, California, Oregon, and Washington.
Right.
The migration has been so great from Oregon to Idaho to Texas to Nevada and to Arizona that we are now losing a congressional seat.
Yeah, and so again, I think this is where the balance comes in, and this is the brilliance of the framers. They're going to drive people who are conservatives out of those states. They're going to drive the population down. Those policies are not only unpopular, they're economically unfeasible. And so people are forced to move, and they're forced to leave, and they're going for greener pastures and places where they have more freedom and they can keep more of their hard-earned money. And that's going to increase representation in Congress. There's a related subject right now, which is the fight over the census and the desire to redo the census. The census was wrong. The Census Bureau admits it. And there's probably another 7 to 11 seats that would come out of redoing the census that would go red in the next election.
Wow. One other little note. How does it feel in Texas now with a secure border?
It's radically different. I mean, when I say radically different, it's night and day. If you go, for example, down to the border, if you go to towns like McAllen or El Paso, the downtown areas are much safer. You don't see all the illegal immigrants all over the streets, congregating on street corners and at gas stations. My friends who live in those places say that they feel much safer. You see actually less law enforcement presence on the streets because they don't need it with so many less illegal immigrants on the streets. Some of the detention centers have been closed, the temporary detention centers. It's absolutely incredible. It is night and day.
Amazing. All right, let's swing to some bigger issues here. Not that Texas isn't big. And your dog be sitting behind you. Okay, so it's been a pretty historic week. Putin, Trump, and then it ends up on his way home. He calls all these European leaders to show up at the White House on Monday. This is pretty historic. What's your 30,000-foot view?
It's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. I mean, this is a president who is very strong on peace, on ending wars, and bringing the death and carnage to an end point, which is what needs to be done. Joe Biden was weak and feckless in this arena, and frankly, Republican presidents in the past have been. I think one of the most interesting things is to see he has this meeting with Putin, and within 48 hours, he summoned all the major leaders from Europe. They're sitting in front of his desk. And I look at it, it's almost like the school children have been called into the principal's office and told what they will do. Mm-hmm. And what you hear at the end of that meeting is the European leaders standing up and saying, President Trump's a great leader, and he's working hard to bring an end to this war, and we're all in with him. And the incongruence with what our mainstream media says is incredible. They say that somehow Trump is a cat's paw for Putin and giving in to Putin. Nobody else believes that except for the mainstream media in America.
So in the meantime, do you think this move really does box Putin in? Because Putin has outlived quite a few administrations. But no other administration has brought the other European leaders to the table and said, look, if I'm gone, you guys are still there as countries, and you need to protect Ukraine. I mean, that's a huge message, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's a huge message, but I don't want to be overly optimistic. Putin is a very difficult character. He's very steadfast in his desire to return the Soviet Union to the world stage as a world power. He considers Ukraine just simply to be part of Russia. And he expects that he's going to eat the whole thing eventually. And I think he's willing to take it piece by piece. The economic reality is that Russia is not actually suffering right now economically in a wartime status. Their economy is churning. They have a great oil and gas deals with China, and they had that with Iran. And so I'm not certain they're hurting bad enough to come back to the table. The real question in my mind is, what will Trump do if Putin thumbs his nose, which is actually what I expect. And the question is, how heavily will NATO and will the U.S. arm up Ukraine? Is it enough to impose real pain on Moscow so they're forced to end the war?
Okay, I get that, and that's yet to be seen. But I am a little surprised that the president hasn't put more pressure on China. China's kind of like the silent agent here in behalf of Putin. You kind of wonder, why don't we just squeeze China really hard?
Yeah, I think the reason is I don't think we're prepared to do it. And I don't mean that emotionally. I actually think the president got out a little over his skis when he imposed 135, 140% tariffs on China. The problem is that we as an economy rely too heavily on China right now. The American public has not been well prepared for what it would take to wean ourselves off of China. One of the biggest things we know is that in rare earth metals, China leads the way. They control about 90% of the world's production. Those metals are required in the batteries and all the things we use, like cell phones and computers and EVs, cars, all of this stuff. China controls the entire production stream. So what we're starting to see is Trump has backed off, but he's also doing the wise thing at this point, in my opinion, which he's going and securing rare earth metals deals around the world, in Australia, hopefully in Ukraine. He's freeing up some of that in the U.S. and the mountain states in Montana and Wyoming. So I think there are precursors to really clamping down on China. And I think he understands that reality. He's putting those precursors in place.
How much is the rare earth mineral deal a positive for Ukraine?
Well, I think it's an incredible, this is where Trump is so unique. I think it's incredible for Ukraine and the U.S. in multiple ways. Number one, it's a financial boon for Ukraine. You're going to see hundreds of millions of dollars in investment, maybe ultimately billions of dollars of U.S. investment there. But it also gives them a security guarantee. If the U.S. has billions of dollars invested in Ukraine in rare earth metals extraction and processing, what that means is we have economic interests that we need to defend in Ukraine, and those become geopolitical interests because of the strategic importance of these rare earth metals. So I think it's a win-win for both Ukraine and the United States.
So it appears that the president's saying, we want to give you Article 5 protection without joining NATO. What do you think about that? And does that also result in Ukraine joining the EU?
Yeah, so I just want to clarify for folks, Article 5 is the reciprocal protection agreement in the NATO articles. And basically what it says is if one of the NATO countries is attacked by a hostile country, then all the countries will come to their defense. And I think one of the reasons we got into the situation with Ukraine is I think Joe Biden very recklessly essentially offered up NATO membership to Ukraine. And that put Putin in a position where he was going to have a NATO member on his border. He doesn't like that. I understand why he doesn't like that. I'm not a fan of Putin. I don't agree with him. But it was a pretty hostile maneuver. And I do think it's better that they don't join NATO, that we agree that they don't join NATO, but we do provide security guarantees. And that's what it looks like is going to happen. I think that is the right path. As far as EU membership, it appears that that's going to happen at some point. Ukraine has been moving more and more obviously into the Western orbit and out of the Eastern orbit, and that would be a completion of that maneuver.
The president said no boots on the ground, but he did not say we wouldn't get involved maybe with air protection and other things. Is that how you read that?
Yeah, I would say probably I would read it even more broadly. I think when he says no boots on the ground, he probably means our aircraft in the air either. I think where he's not drawing any limitations is the amount of armaments that we would provide to Ukraine, and whether or not those armaments would be beyond defensive, they would go to offensive capabilities to strike Moscow, to strike other cities, to strike the port cities of Russia, and to really put Russia on defense. I think my personal opinion is, practically speaking, that's the only way to push Russia back, is to make them feel the pain inside of Russia. And I think that's probably where we're headed to get a peace agreement.
Okay, one last question. So at the end of the day, it looks like land is part of the deal, and land that they've already conquered, which is Crimea and some other areas. But it also looks like they may end up with less land than what they started with. Is that true?
I mean, Ukraine might end up with less.
Yeah.
Land than,
yeah.
Yeah, I think that is true. And look, one of the things that I admire about Trump is that he's a political realist, and he looks at the facts on the ground and tries to figure out what can he do based on those. It's not philosophical for Trump. He wants to end the war. He wants to end the killing. And I think that's humane, but he also understands that Russia has taken territory. And without expanding the war, without killing a lot more people, they're not going to give that territory back. To be fair, also, it's important to know that Donbass, which is probably the region most likely to end up in Russian hands, there's a huge Russian ethnic contingent that live in Donbass would actually prefer to be part of Russia. I think it's about 60% of the population. And so I think that makes the most sense. It's hard to imagine them giving those military gains back. I think actually Putin would be in trouble in Russia if he didn't gain anything from this conflict.
Okay. All right, let me take a quick break. Check out Mark's website, conventionofstates.com, and there's a picture of the landing page. Order up that little booklet. In fact, he'll send them out to you. They're a great resource to spread around and learn more about the Convention of States. What are you up to, 30-something states now?
I wish we were 30-something. We're at 19 states.
Oh, 19, I'm sorry.
Necessary, so 15 to go.
Okay, well, I'm pulling for you, man. I'm pulling for you.
I like it.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hellgate Jetboat Excursions is throwing it back every Thursday. Book one quick and scenic excursion at regular price and get the second ticket for only $19.59 every Thursday. Glide inches above the river, see the native wildlife, and experience the majestic views of the legendary Hellgate Canyon. Don't miss the best of the Pacific Northwest with our 2-hour excursion. It's Throwback Thursday all season long with our buy one, get one for $19.59. Call 541-479-7204 to book. Some restrictions apply. Visit hellgate.com for details.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
They're trying to track down what and how did the auto pen of former President Joe Biden was used? And did the president ever give the order? This is serious stuff. The legacy media reporting the bombing in Iran was low effect. The sites were obliterated. They were gone. You got to ask yourself the question, why are you doing this?
News with a little bit of common sense. Mornings on the Dove, weekdays 6 to 8 a.m.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Life is complicated enough. Why worry about what to do with your extra car? Skip the costs of maintaining it, storing it, insuring it, or renewing registration. Car repairs? Forget about it. Here's one easy solution to your car problem. Donate it to our station. It's fast, free, tax deductible, and if you donate, you're going to feel incredible knowing you're supporting quality programming. Interested? Just call this toll-free number or donate online. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back. An honor to have back with us Mark Meckler. Mark is president of Convention of States and one of the great guys out there doing a hard job and one of our, what I call, frontline warriors. Check out his conventionofstates.com website. There's a picture of the landing page, and they have these little booklets on the Convention of States to help you become more educated, and you share that with a lot of people, and he'll send them out to you, conventionofstates.com. Mark, earlier we had a little bit on our news. I want to play this for you and have your comment. This is National Security Tulsi Gabbard talking about, well, a couple of things. You know, yesterday she fired 37 moles inside the agency. I guess that's the best way you can call them. You know, these were Democratic holdouts. She fired all 37 of them and pulled out their security clearance, and explains the problem and where it goes from here. And so I want to play this for you and get your comment.
The integrity of our democratic republic depends on the American people knowing the truth about what actually happened and seeking that accountability, bringing about that accountability. I don't know how else to characterize what happens when there is a sitting president of the United States, there is a director of the CIA, a director of national intelligence under President Obama, the head of the NSA, James Comey is the head of the FBI, all coming together, and this is documented in what we released, all coming together to create this lie with the intent of delegitimizing the duly elected president of the United States because the person they wanted to win actually lost. And the American people made their own choice in spite of everything that happened in that 2016 election, and they chose Donald Trump. This was not a one-off thing. This wasn't just, oh, well, they fudged the lines a little bit. They created a lie and propagated that lie in order to try to undermine the person that the American people chose to be our president and commander-in-chief. The integrity of our democratic republic.
Okay, so look, I guess the question I have here is, what happens? Does anything happen with this?
Well, I do think this is actually a big move. So starting to clean out the people that are inside the agencies that don't actually believe in our constitutional republic, that believe that they're above the law, above the electeds, above the American public. It can't be overstated what a big deal this is. I've never seen this happen before. Administrations come and go, and the security state remains above the law. So for Tulsi Gabbard to be doing this, it's incredibly risky to her personally, certainly her political career, but I worry about her physical safety as well. So I think it's incredible that she's done this. 37 is a good start. These are people that were involved in creating these lies and covering up these lies and spreading these lies in the media. They've had their security clearances revoked. Many of them had actual contracts with the security state. Those contracts have been revoked. So I think it's a great start, and I imagine that she's going to continue to clean house. I think this is going to have a decades-long impact.
Okay, but back to the core case here of what took place, and I realize you're dealing with statutes of limitations and immunities, an entanglement unlike anything we've ever seen. But that shouldn't be an excuse not to pursue justice at some level or exposure to where they're just basically ruined as individuals. Do you think that'll happen?
Yeah, I do think some of that's going to happen. I would say in my entire life in politics, which now goes back 15 years, I've not seen any actual justice take place for people like this. But I do think this is different. There is a reason that it's different. There is a theory that's been developed by the DOJ called the Grand Conspiracy Theory. And basically what it says is that there is a 10-year conspiracy that's taken place starting before Donald Trump was elected president and continuing through the present day, and that all of these crimes can be tied into that 10-year conspiracy, which is still continuing today. And so that means the statute of limitations on much of this stuff has not run yet. It has not even been told yet because the conspiracy is ongoing. So if that theory holds, and I believe it's a sound legal theory, then prosecutions will be available in a lot of these cases, and I believe they're going to be brought.
But that doesn't preempt an immunity, does it?
Well, the immunity, what we're talking about, generally speaking, is Barack Obama. And I do think that Barack Obama and or Joe Biden are widely going to be immune from any kind of charges or prosecution under these statutes. Presidential immunity is quite broad, and it was deemed to be so in the last Supreme Court term in regard to President Trump. And I think that is going to cover Biden and Obama. But I think from there on down, there's a lot of exposure.
Okay. Pretty interesting, because wouldn't immunities, especially the last, hours of immunity tossed out by the auto pen, isn't that an admission?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be used, but not necessarily against the presidents. But look, the auto pen is a whole different issue that is going to be litigated, which is how much authority did people have to sign on Joe Biden's behalf with an auto pen? And I think it's murky. I don't think there's a lot of proof on the table yet, but I think the investigation is being done on that. And that calls a whole bunch of things into question. If he signed legislation with that auto pen that he didn't know he was signing, if he signed executive orders, if he signed pardons, I believe that he didn't know about the pardons he was signing. Question becomes, are those pardons valid? That's really important in context of these investigations, because some of these people that were peremptorily pardoned, the people, for example, who ran the J6 investigatory committee, if those pardons are deemed not valid by a court of law, then all those people have exposure, and I hope that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I do too. I will see what happens on that one. All right, one last question, and thanks for your time again, Mark. Always appreciate you. What do you think of the crackdown of the crime in D.C.?
I think it's incredible. I've spent a lot of time in D.C. I watched D.C. deteriorate before my eyes. I wouldn't walk on the streets of D.C. after 8 p.m. now. It's just dangerous out there. It used to be dangerous in the dangerous areas, and now it's dangerous everywhere. Every major city in the country has some dangerous areas, but it was everywhere in Washington, D.C. We've seen the murder rates, rape, theft, robbery, burglary skyrocket, vandalism, car theft. And overnight, it appears that Trump has fixed all this. And the left would have us believe these are societal ills. There's no easy fix. We have to spend more money. No, there's an easy fix. You put more law enforcement on the street, you arrest people, you prosecute people. It's working. I want to say in conclusion, though, it's not enough. I think home rule should be abolished entirely. I think the D.C. City Council is an abomination. The D.C. mayor is an abomination. They should be removed. Congress should control that city. We should fix the school districts there. They're some of the worst in the country. Washington, D.C. should be a shining city on the hill. It should be the best city in America. And we should be proud of that city every single day. And I think Donald Trump and Congress can do that if they have the will.
Do you think he'll get his 30-day extension? I mean, right now he's allowed to do this for 30 days. Do you think the citizenry and the leadership in D.C. step up and say, continue?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be up to Congress whether he gets that extension. I think they're going to grant it to him. Everything I've heard is that the people on the streets of D.C. are really happy about it. The people who are subject to crime are happy about it. The only people protesting it are rich white people who live in protected areas where they don't have to deal with these problems. So I think he's going to get that extension, and I think he's going to continue cleaning up the city.
How does the Democrats stay alive defending not doing this?
I think it's going to hurt them politically. I mean, there will always be people who vote Democrat no matter what. But when you watch the videos from the folks live on the streets in Washington, D.C., the shop owners, the people who have to live in these rough areas, these crime-ridden areas, they're very happy with Donald Trump and the Republicans right now.
Yeah. Mark, good to see you, buddy. You doing okay?
You too. Everything's great here.
Well, let's see. You got a safe border. You're going to win in redistricting. You're going to
I got the dogs here in the office.
You got a dog. You got a saddle. Hey, you got it all, man. Thanks, Mark. God bless you, pal. Good to see you.
God bless you too, Perry. Thanks.
At Rogue Hearing in Phoenix, we help you hear life again, clearly and comfortably. From expert hearing tests to custom aids and more, the team at Rogue Hearing delivers care you can trust. Rogue Hearing in Phoenix at the shops at Exit 24. Personalized hearing care right here at home.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
big ideas grow.
If you enjoy the Dove TV, tell a friend or family member. If they can't receive a signal, the Dove streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at theDove.us. Help encourage someone who needs hope. Spread the word about the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. We spent a lot of time on this program talking about various things as it relates to generational science. We've had Dr. George Barr on many occasions and other people who talk about the shifts of generations and their interests and their concerns. And there seems to be more and more evidence coming out that young people are thinking, leaning, interested in church. I am really honored to have with us today Tom Rainier. He's the founder and CEO of Church Answers. He's a former pastor, best-selling author with over 42 books in print. With nearly 40 years of ministry experience, Pastor Tom has spent a lifetime committed to the growth and the health of the local church and its leaders. His latest book is entitled The Anxious Generation Goes to Church. There's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen. What the research says about younger generations need and want from your church. And I'm sure you can get that book online. There it is, The Anxious Generation Goes to Church. He does have a website, churchandanswers.com. And there's the picture of that landing page. Pastor Tom, good to see you. How are you, friend?
I am well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Where are you? Where were you talking to you from?
There's a story behind that. I am at my Florida home, and we are having a leak in one of our air conditioning. You saw me turn around then. My apology. I was asking some of the workers that I let them know I'm on live radio, and so right as we started this, there's water coming in the wall. So just know that I was a bit distracted, but I promise I'm going to be with you for the rest of the interview.
Okay, good to see you. Well, thanks. I hope you find the leak.
Well, they found the leak.
Oh, okay. Well, get it fixed. Boy, a lot to talk about here, a little time, so let's jump into it. What led you to go down this road?
I was working on book number 41, 42, I can't remember, and I had a relationship with Tyndale, still do, and I was trying to think, okay, what's the next book going to be? I started writing on a proposal, and nothing clicked. Absolutely nothing clicked. But I had put in an order for a book called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, who is a secularist, an atheistic Jew. And I said, I really want to read this book because I've been studying about generations for some time and writing about them. Well, the book came in, as it sometimes does with Amazon, within about 4 hours of me ordering it. I started reading it. Tried to go to sleep. I could not. And then around midnight, I think I got about a 4-hour nap. I woke up and I finished it. And I said, this book is amazing. Now, I'm talking about Jonathan Haidt, a secular Jew, an atheist. And I said, but I've got to look at this from the Christian worldview. I've got to look at this from a local church perspective. And so I set out to look at the anxious generation, which he created the term, give him all full credit for it. He created the term, and I just said, I've got to look at this from a Christian perspective. And there was something else that was taking place simultaneous with this, and that was the generation that we often refer to as Gen Z was beginning to move back to church. The same generation that he said was the anxious generation. And since I study church and since he had studied the anxious generation, I wanted to meld those two together. I talked to my publisher at Tyndale. He took it about a day or two and he said, we're all in for it. And so that's the genesis of it. It was another person's book that caused me to move into a new perspective on the topic.
Interesting. Very interesting. You used the term inflection point. What do you mean by that?
Well, there was a point where generations began to see a change take place. And the generation, particularly Gen Z, we've talked about previous generations. You can go all the way back to the silent generation, the baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z. But there was a point where we began to see some changes in Gen Z. And when I say we're talking mainly about those in the mental health industry. And they began to see things happening like emergency room visits for self-help going up. 48% with boys, but 189% with girls. Suicide rates going up. 71% with boys, but 167% with girls. Anxiety, depression, all of those issues. And again, all of these were coming from the secular world, but they were trying to figure out what is going on. Well, the inflection point took place when Gen Z started putting a computer in front of their face that was loaded not only with the internet, not only with social media, but all the harms that come their way. And that they basically moved into an alternate reality. And that reality has messed up their mind. That reality has messed up who they are. And it certainly has not been a worldview, a Christian worldview at all.
Okay, boy, you've touched on a big one here.
Yes, there's a lot of things that are going on with this generation.
Yeah.
But let me just say this. In the midst of all of this, there is a great deal of hope. There's a great deal of hope because this generation knows it's missing something now. Living in front of that screen for this many years, especially during their adolescence, during the time of their puberty, when their minds were being shaped in profound ways, during that time, they began to say, I'm missing something. I am not getting the fulfillment I thought I would. And this is one of the greatest opportunities, I believe, for the churches that I have ever seen in my long lifetime. So I give that great hope in the midst of the great challenge that we have.
All right, I want to dig into that a little bit more, but let me ask you one question. Are we overreacting to this generation?
No, we are not overreacting to this generation. The data is profound. The number of suicides are real. The number of emergency room visits for self-harm are real. This generation has done something that other generations have never done. They've gone into an alternate reality, and that reality is the world of social media found on a little pocket phone called a smartphone. We've never seen anything like this. Overreaction is always a possibility, and we can always look back and say, hey, it wasn't as bad as we thought it was. Mm-hmm. But the more we find out, the more we're beginning to see this really is a crisis situation.
So you mentioned that they're realizing that something is missing. Have they identified what it is?
No, they have not identified it, but they identify it when someone gets them to church. Just as simple as that. And here's the thing about it. When they are invited to church, when they are invited by a church-going believer, and that believer is bold enough to walk into the church facility with them, their acceptance rate of coming to church is in the high 70%. Yes, I will come. And then once they get to church, they absolutely fall in love. They fall in love with the relationships that are there. They fall in love with the preaching of the word. They fall in love with other Christians. But above all, many of them begin to fall in love with Jesus. So there is a solution. They are ready to take that step to more of an analog world than the digital world, a personal and in-person world. And they're ready to make those relationships with Christians, and that eventually leads to a relationship with Christ.
Let me jump ahead and come back. Those who come to church authentically give their lives to Christ, and they begin to walk the Christian road, if I can put it that way.
Sure.
Do they look back and realize they've been violated?
I think it's too early to say because we are only beginning to see the migration, the immigration, if you will, back to church. I would say anecdotal evidence would indicate that their eyes are opening up and they're saying, wow, I did not realize what had happened to me. I did not realize this alternative world. I would love to see a good comprehensive study about 5 years from now. So all the information that we have right now is anecdotal. And yeah, at least anecdotally, we can say they are thinking that they were in a fake reality and no one told them they were.
You begin to zero in on quite a few things, but on most of all, 4 things that you feel that are contributing factors. Can you walk us through those?
Well, let's just go down the building blocks, if you will. The first of the 4 was the internet itself. And you asked a good question a little while ago. You said, are we overreacting? Well, there was a lot of overreaction to the internet. The internet has done a lot of good things. The internet has been used for evil as well. But there was this, what the world is coming to an end type of mentality with the internet. And as a result of that, we sometimes think we're jumping to these issues too quickly. Well, the internet was part of the problem. Well, what happens next? The internet then goes to a second level, and that is the smartphone. Now, I took computer science. I'm 70 years old, so you can imagine when I was in college what computer science was like. But I took computer science in 1973, and the IBM 360 with the punch cards that we learned how to, and I'll say this loosely, do programming, that was multifold the power in their pocket. So now they have a computer in their pocket. Now they have access to the internet. But the tripwire was when social media became accessible on the smartphone. And all of a sudden, these young people are comparing themselves to others. They're bullying one another. They're seeing awful things of a pornographic nature. They are seeing a world that is an awful world in the world of social media. And as a result, they begin to have their minds messed up. The fourth level after all of this is just the polarization that is taking place. If we have political polarization, we definitely have Gen Z polarization, and they began to polarize among themselves as they became addicted to the smartphone.
Are we being fair and I guess graceful by allowing their problems to be put into the mental health category?
Well, for me, everything ends up being a spiritual issue. I don't want to deny the mental reality, the fact that there is anxiety, there is depression, there is suicide, but it goes deeper. It ultimately, from my biblical worldview, we're ultimately in spiritual warfare.
Right.
That is the bigger issue more than the mental health issue. I do not want to minimize mental health issues. I don't want to minimize those who've gone through it, but I would simply say it's a bigger thing than that.
Well, and that's where I was going, Pastor, because it seems like to me mental health is a catch-all for anybody having a bad day. And to your other point is, if we can get them introduced to authentic Christianity, you've put them on the road to good health.
That's exactly right. You've put them on the road to Christ. You've put them on the road to spiritual healing, but that also results in emotional healing and sometimes even the physical manifestations that come with emotional problems. So that is why I wrote the book. I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. I wrote the book because I honestly believe that if the anxious generation goes to church, the anxious generation is going to meet fellow believers. The anxious generation is going to hear the preaching of the word, and the anxious generation is going to meet Christ. And that's where the solution resides. And despite all of the mental health solutions that have come along up to this point, they haven't been solutions in their aggregate form. I believe the church has the solution because I believe the church introduces these people to the person who is all solutions.
Wow. All right, I got a couple of loaded questions for you, but let me take a quick break. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out the book. It's called The Anxious Generation Goes to Church. There's a picture of the cover by Tom Rainier. Check out his website, churchandanswers.com, and there's a picture of that landing page as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm Guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Paul Allen is a Minnesota sports icon.
The Vikings have a 9-0 lead.
And he sits down with CBN Sports' Tom Buring.
That's the first time that I've ever talked about this.
It's a Minneapolis Miracle!
If Jesus Christ were to join you as your guest in a booth, how would you introduce him?
Wow, is that a weird question, but it's a beautiful question.
Thursday on the 700 Club, right here on the Dove TV.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Now here's this couple who says, we don't need that kind of a covenant so that we can escape and get out of this. And it is an unholy relationship. Two men together cannot be one flesh. Two women together in a sexual relationship cannot be one flesh. It is the man and it is the woman brought together by God, as indicated here in this passage of Scripture, that become one flesh. And that means that their relationship is not just physical, but metaphysical. In fact, you know that the word one that is used there is the word when God speaks about being one, for the oneness of the Trinity.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Okay, welcome back, and honored to have with us today Pastor Tom Rainier. He's the founder of and CEO of Church Answers. He's a former pastor, but has authored over 42 books. And his latest one, I think you're going to find not only a book to read, but probably a manual. You end up writing in the margins of this book. It's called The Anxious Generation Goes to Church, what the research says about what young generations need and want from your church. And there's a picture of the cover of the book. Is that available like online, Amazon, and all that stuff?
It is, as of yesterday. You're getting me live the day after the release of the book.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
His website is churchanswers.com, and there's a picture of that landing page. Okay, Pastor Tom, I was trying to figure out how I can ask this question. You're hitting such a great point here, and I love the term anxious generation, better known as Gen Z. If they're totally open, how do we not mismanage that mushy area between grace and legalism to reach them?
That's a great question. And by the way, 70% of them are open, so that is a high percentage. That's not a rounded number. That is the research we've had when we've had some attitudinal questions. So about 70% of them are open. You know, that is a question that we ask with parenting. That is a question that we ask with church members. But it's also a question that we ask when we're talking to people who aren't believers, who are to become a part of the church. And here's the reality: coming to faith in Christ not only is placing your faith in Christ, but the flip side of the coin is repentance. And you cannot have repentance unless you recognize that you are a sinner that is in need of that grace. And so there should be as much opportunity to talk about the why nots in the sphere, in the spirit of grace, as we talk about the why, the person of Christ. And I would hate to think that we're having a conversation with the anxious generation, and we're not talking about the sins that have been pervasive in their lives, like we are all sinners. And so I think if we surround our message in a message of love and grace, but at the same time be blunt and be true about what is wrong and what is right, we will do well. If we don't, it's not the full gospel. It is not the gospel of Christ if it is not repentance. And so there's a great opportunity to talk about the wrong once they see how much we care and how much we love them, just by the mere fact that we invited them to church.
Yeah, the reason I ask that question, because if we're not careful, we'll say, come as you are, and at the end of the day, they stay as they are.
Yes. Yes. Hey, my generation did that, by the way. I'm a part of the baby boomer generation, born between 1946 and 1964. And we were the largest generation in history, 76 million live births. There are a lot of us, but we are, many of our generations are self-centered, narcissistic. We're the me generation. We're the generation where Burger King told McDonald's that we can have it our way. And as a result, we went to churches wanting to have it our way, and accommodation was pervasive. And so basically they said, come as you are. Don't worry about participating. Don't worry about giving. Don't worry about anything. We're here to take care of you. And guess what? They didn't, not in the true sense of the word. And we do have to be careful that we don't make the same mistake with the third largest generation in history, Gen Z, that we made with the baby boomers, and we probably made with the millennials that preceded them.
Okay, so It's one thing the church to be prepared and open to reach into this generation and invite them in. On the other hand, there are parents pulling their hair out at night trying to figure out what to do. And it could be that they're on the tail end of this baby boomers. I mean, yeah, we screwed it up pretty bad, let's face it. And we handed them a mess. And they were raised in a mess. And so is the average parent prepared for this?
No, the average parent is not prepared for this, but that is not a hopeless situation. Part of the data is very, very rich. And the parents of this tend to be more of the millennial generation and Gen X than baby boomers, but the principle is still the same. Yeah, it's a mess, and they're part of the messed up. But here's what we're finding out again to augment the hope that we've been talking about. In our research, we have found that if the parents of these kids will not only send them to church, but go to church with them, especially the father, even not to try to exclude the influence of the mother, but the father's influence is just so heightened that it not only helps their child to get closer to Christ more quickly, they do as well. So if there's a way, and again, I don't have a magic button here, but if there's a way to get families to start moving in this direction, Christ will not only heal these young people, but he will heal their parents and even their grandparents.
Good stuff. So, Pastor, have you some of the research that I've come across and people I've interviewed said that some of these young people, if not a lot of them, are drawn to church that are heavily structured. In other words, they live in an unstructured culture, and they're drawn to churches that are structured, have a liturgy. The Catholic Church is growing, the Orthodox Church is growing. I mean, these churches that have a little bit more liturgical feel to it because they're highly structured seem to be an appeal. Did your research show that?
We did not research that, so I'm not able to address either Orthodox or Catholicism, either one, but I've seen the same data that you have. I have a perspective that is maybe not different than that, but it's broader than that. This is actually for research for a book coming up 2 years from now. And it is that this generation is somewhat drawn to structure, but they're more drawn to in-person and personalization. In other words, the digital generation seems to be giving way among the digital world seems to be giving way among this generation to an analog world where you can touch, where you can feel, where you can be in a church service in person, where you have relationships with people. So I think part of the structure question is a part of a desire to have a different world than they've had. But if our research is anything close to accurate, and we'll continue to build on it, the main thing that they want is the real world. That does involve some structure, and that may answer some of the questions for the Orthodox Church and for Catholicism. But they're looking for a real world, and a real world does involve some structure. It involves some boundaries. It involves some guidelines, and so it seems as if that is what this generation is going to be drawn to. And there's some great biblical principles in the midst of all of this. So for evangelical Protestantism, I wouldn't just simply say we will have to go high church or we'd have to go structured church in order to reach this generation. Some will. But I will say this generation is ready for in-person, personal, and that involves borders, that involves guidelines, and that could be called structure.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so how do we get them to? Gosh, this is a big question. I'm trying to figure out if I'm asking it right. How do we get them to open their minds? And the reason I ask that is because their minds have been pre-programmed before we get to them.
They have been. Their minds have been pre-programmed in a digital world, and that world, they have certain expectations. They expect instantaneous results. They expect communication to be at the punch of a button or even quicker. They expect the algorithms to meet all their perceived needs. So that's the world that they're in. Now, here's where we are, though. We may be nearing the end of that era where that's what these young people are saying really gives them joy or satisfaction. Maybe I'm a bit of an obnoxious optimist by saying that, but the reality of it is these young people are telling us that they have discovered that that is not the world that they want. And so this is one of the reasons, among others, but one of the reasons why you're hearing all of this information about Gen Z returning to church, Gen Z becoming more than becoming Christian, Gen Z, according to some of Ryan Burge's good research at Graphs About Religion, they're saying this is going to be one of the most church generations in multiple generations. And I think that they are opening up. My question in all of this is not how do we get them to open up. My question is how do we get the churches out into the field? I mean, Matthew 9 is very clear. He didn't say we needed prospects for the church. He said the harvest field is full. We need workers to go into those harvest fields. And that to me is the bigger question, because there is the opportunity for believers, for the church. There's an opportunity to go into that field. So in 30 minutes after this radio interview, I'll be talking to a church in Michigan, church leaders in Michigan, one of our clients, and they're asking that very question: how do we get into the field? How do we get into the field? And I'm just saying, it's there. It's there. It's ready for you. You don't have to wait. Go into that field.
So one other quick question, Pastor Tom, and that is, I understand we want to be authentic. We want to introduce them to Christ. We want to, fill that gap that they're looking for. I get all that. We need to go into the field. But isn't there also another goal here? And I say this carefully, but to program them into belonging to and attending a church.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, that's the center. If we're not careful, we have all this stuff outside the church, but don't we want them in the church?
Well, if I were to use a metaphor, I'm not sure if I would use nail on the head or bullseye, but any of the above would be appropriate. I got 1 minute.
Go for it. Okay.
You have nailed it. From the end, from Acts 2 to Revelation 3, the entire pericope of the New Testament, that large swath, is about the local church, to the local church, or in the context of the local church. Mm-hmm. If we leave the local church out of this picture, we've missed it.
Yeah, because I understand all the efforts of evangelism, and it's genuine and it's passionate. But at the end of the day, we need them in the church and become a member of the church, a body of believers somewhere functioning, right?
The little book I wrote was called I'm a Church Member. There must be something to it.
All right, check out the book. I think you'll find it to be really a manual. It's called The Anxious Generation Goes to Church, What Research Says About What Young Generations Need and Want from Your Church. There's a picture of the cover of the book. You can check out Pastor Tom's website, churchanswers.com. You're fascinating. Can we get you back?
Anytime. Thank you.
I hope you get your leak stopped.
And I'm sorry for the rude introduction at the beginning of this live show.
No worries, no worries. God bless you, pal. Good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Wildfire season.